WWF Monday Night Raw number 362, May 1st of the year 2000. It's the night after Backlash, so The Rock is in fact your brand new World Heavyweight Champion. We open with the Dudleys versus TNA.
We should talk about how he won the title. Linda McMahon reinstated Earl Hebner. Mm-hmm. Earl Hebner came down and counted the pin, so that whole story, as I noted, was all about Triple H and Earl Hebner.
Yes.
It was designed to get Hebner over so Hebner could screw Triple H and put the title on The Rock.
Yes.
Where was Jericho in all of this? He had a match with Chris Benoit with no finish.
Yeah. So Dudleys versus TNA is your opener. Edge and Christian are on commentary. At the pay-per-view, Bubba did finally put Trish through a table because that was the payoff. And say what you will, they still know how to build to a payoff and give it to you at the pay-per-view at this point. As a result, I guess, the Dudleys were just beloved on this show. So maybe it's just me, but it seemed like they had the heat on test for a while and then figured out the crowd wanted to cheer for the Dudleys anyway, and it's called an audible and got the heat on Bubba. So heat's on Bubba. Edge is on commentary, issues a challenge to anyone they haven't already beaten. Devon's comeback appeared to be called on the fly. It was very clunky. There's the 3D on test, but then as promised, Edge and Christian, after shooting on commentary, did a run-in, and they hit Devon with a kill switch, and Test got the pin.
So they still screwed the Dudleys.
They did.
So maybe the whole idea was the Dudleys were supposed to be the baby faces anyway.
Maybe, yeah. Probably.
I mean, that's the finish.
Yes.
Yes, who would have ever thought beating the shit out of a woman makes you a baby face in WWE in the year 2000?
It was a strange time. Hunter and his crew are walking backstage. Hunter's arm is in a sling.
So here's the story with Hunter's arm. Hunter is fine. But back then they actually thought about things. And so they figured, well, if Hunter's healthy, then logically the McMahons should give him a rematch in a cage the next night.
Sure.
We can't do that. So therefore, we got to give him a fake injury to explain why he's not going to be wrestling The Rock until the next pay-per-view. So that's why he had a sling on his arm.
Wow, foresight.
Planning.
Thinking.
Rational thought. We are told there were members of the Baltimore Orioles in the crowd, but when they went to show them, all I saw was women. Good-looking women.
Oh, really good-looking women.
Pro athletes, as it turns out.
Weird, huh?
Tend to date attractive women.
Oh, guys with lots of money.
Yes.
Attract good-looking women. Rob, write this down.
So, the McMahons come out for a promo. Hunter says The Rock needed help to beat him. He better enjoy that title while he can. He's going to get it back. Crowd's calling Steffi crack whore. She talks about how proud she is. So Vince goes for a while. If Austin shows up tonight, Vince guarantees something worse than a hit and run will happen to him, which Austin never showed up, so we never found out what that would be. Says, unlike when Hunter was afraid to pedigree Linda, he would not be afraid to hurt Linda if necessary.
Well, it's not quite what he said. It was like Hunter was just trying to scare her. It wasn't that he was scared.
I see.
And when Hunter went to pedigree Linda, he was just trying to scare her. He had no intention of pedigreeing her. But Vince, however...
Yeah, Vince said he would not hesitate.
Yeah, Vince threatened to hit his wife.
He's going to beat his wife.
Yes.
That's the important part. Let's see. What else? Earl Hebner is reinstated. Vince will tend to him later. And when The Rock arrives, Vince promises history will be made inside this steel cage. Point is, this was a long, boring promo.
I love how he basically said, Linda has a charmed life thanks to me. Everything's because of me. It was so Vince McMahon.
I was going to say.
She had a charmed life.
Edge and Christian were the only ones shooting.
Married to this man who will beat her tonight.
Right. She'll enjoy it.
Crash Holly arrives. He is jumped by the parking lot attendant who attempts to win the hardcore title.
That was awesome, actually.
But Crash dumps him in the trunk of the car and flees. Too Cool versus the Hardys. This is awesome because the crowd loved the Hardy Boys because they're young, exciting, good-looking young men until they stopped Scotty from doing the worm.
Yeah.
And the crowd was so pissed, and now they wanted Too Cool to win. So doing this match, and then the Hardys go for the senton, but Grandmaster Sexay breaks it up, and he hits him out with a super kick, and he pins him.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming. That caught me off guard.
I was reminded during this match that Scotty 2 Hotty had a great match with Dean Malenko on the pay-per-view the night before.
Scotty 2 Hotty had the best match.
I'd totally forgotten about that match, and I have to go back and watch it.
I haven't watched it since it happened, but I'm confident it was the best match of Scotty 2 Hotty's career.
Absolutely.
And that's not a knock on Scotty or anything. Right. It was a great match. Vince McMahon sends the Stooges to get Earl. They ask Vince, do you want Earl on a box or on a silver platter?
Vinny, you're not even beginning to do this justice.
It's my job these days.
Vince is back there, and he's sitting on this chair, and the Stooges are there. And he says, I want something tonight. And so Briscoe goes, you want sugar or cream in your coffee? This is not what Vince wants. Vince says, bring me Earl Hebner. And Briscoe says, and it's Briscoe's delivery, which is so great. Mm-hmm. He just, in the most diabolical manner possible, goes, do you want him in a box or on a plate? There's a pause. And Patterson goes, he just wants to talk to him. And then Vince goes, you don't know what I want to do with him. Go get me Earl Hebner. He demands he come out. I was just watching Vince going, you're the greatest. And the Stooges are the greatest. As we saw multiple times on this show, not just their excellent acting chops, but also their physical comedic chops later on in the show. Two extraordinary gentlemen, the Stooges.
So after the commercial, Vince gets Earl, and he chews him out, berates him verbally, intimidates him, insults him, and then just warns him to stay out of his business and sends him on his way.
That was the culmination of all of this.
That wasn't so bad.
He chewed him out. He told him to shut up. He called him a little shit. And then he said, stay out of our business. I was like, what a shitty payoff. Now, granted, he got involved in his business later.
Well, he did.
So there better be a payoff next week here on the show, or I'm going to be mad. This continuity editor, we're going to find out if he's all he was cracked up to be when we look back. I mean, he's way better than today. But I need something here.
But yes, I watched this and I thought, this seems like this probably happens to somebody at least once a week.
Sure. Seems like you on the show on a regular basis. Or Rob.
The hell did I do?
Nothing.
Not today.
That's the point.
The point is you get it far worse than Earl did here. And he fucked the McMahons last night.
All of them?
Yeah,
Actually,
the whole
yes.
family.
But not Linda. Kat and Jacqueline versus Terry and Ivory.
What was this?
I'll tell you what this was. So, Stephanie allegedly invented women's wrestling a few years ago.
That's what we were told, yes.
Yeah, but this bullshit because there was women's wrestling before that.
Sure.
Everyone goes, well, you know, they were in their lingerie and the Cat was a wrestler and she sucked and, you know, they had a man as a champion or whatever. Wasn't Oklahoma the champion or was that WCW? It doesn't
They had Harvey
matter.
Whippleman in this one.
Anyway, the point of this is Jackie is better than every single woman on the main roster in 2019 with the exception of Charlotte, Kyrie, and Asuka.
Okay.
She's better than every fucking one of them. Ivory is probably better than at least half of the current Raw roster and SmackDown.
Okay.
Her and Ivory and Jackie together was better than 85 or 90% of the matches you'll see on Raw or SmackDown nowadays. Mm-hmm. So I was just watching this going, these fucking girls are great. Of course, then Terry and the Cat got in there, and that was fucking terrible.
To their credit, they did acknowledge. Ross said, listen, Jacqueline and Ivory are trained wrestlers.
Yes.
Kat and Terry are not.
But you know what? I'm going to sound like a sexist pig, but I'm not meaning to be, okay? Mm-hmm. So
that's the best kind of sexism. Casual, accidental sexism.
This is not even casual. Just listen to what I'm saying and then try to think instead of just like being outraged,
Don't react.
No, just think before you get outraged.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I would rather see Kat and Terry doing their stripper spots.
Pig!
Well,
Okay.
Okay. Then I would prefer to see the women on the main roster who don't know how to wrestle stumble through bad matches. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
I gotcha.
Kat and Terry didn't know how to wrestle.
So they didn't try.
So they did cat fights and they tore each other's clothes off.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds sexist, but like, they did it fine.
Yes.
Like, if that's your role as an actor, to get in there with another woman and have a believable cat fight and tear each other's shit off, like, they could do that. It wasn't like embarrassingly bad.
Right.
Whereas I can watch Raw nowadays and they could put like, what was that match we saw a few weeks ago? I mean, I see them all the time. There was what was the
Anything
one?
with Lacey
The
Evans and Nia
Iconics.
Jax, the Iconics. Yeah.
Fucking Iconics. Like, they get in there, then they are trying to wrestle, and they're horrible at it.
Yes.
Like, I would rather see them just tear their clothes off, not because I'm sexist, but because they could do it successfully and not, like, be embarrassing at what they're trying to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Why are you looking at me, Craig?
I'm just saying. They, Everybody. These are human beings playing a role that has been assigned to them by a promoter, okay? These women's role, their role in the play was to attack each other and try to tear their clothes off. They were fine.
They succeeded.
They succeeded and they did what they were tasked to do.
Yes.
Okay? When I see women nowadays who their role, what they're tasked to do is have a wrestling match and they fucking can't do it, I don't know how they got past the audition.
Okay. I get what you're saying. You want to see Peyton naked. I get it.
No, I'm just saying. This was totally fine. The women that can wrestle, wrestled. The women who couldn't wrestle didn't try. Great.
So in the end, the women who couldn't wrestle somehow both got KO'd, and Jacqueline put Kat on top, and they won.
Yes.
Road Dogg and X-Pac lost to Edge and Christian at the pay-per-view. Were left bloody, apparently. Mm-hmm. And they want a rematch for the tag titles, and Vince says, okay, but not tonight.
As we found out later, X-Pac got hit with the bell and split open hard way.
Yes. So he's got a big giant bandage on his head.
Giant.
Vince says, okay, you'll get your tag title shot, but not tonight. Road Dogg, I have a special assignment for you. X-Pac, you are going to defend Stephanie's honor against that bastard Chris Jericho. And DX is cool with this. Mm-hmm. Earl Hebner got a ring intro.
He did.
Ladies and gentlemen, Earl Hebner, and he came out. This leads to X-Pac versus Chris Jericho. Tori distracts the ref, so Jericho kicks her in the head. And it's the year 2000 in WWE, so everyone cheers. X-Pac shoves Earl, so Earl shoves him back and calls for the DQ.
Yeah.
The Road Dogg then attacks Earl. He also gets shoved down. They were so desperate to get Earl Hebner over.
Yeah, they were.
I guess the story is going to go for a while, this Earl thing.
And somewhere in here, X-Pac's wound got opened up.
His bandage fell off. He started bleeding all over the place again. Yeah. The Rock arrives at the building. Everyone cheers. And then Rock comes out for a promo. He says his best line this week was, I know Steve Austin is at home in Texas watching with a beer in one hand and a beer in the other. But his way of saying thank you to Austin was to say, oh, hell yeah. At this point, out comes the McMahon-Helmsley regime. And when I call them that, that's what the graphic actually reads.
Yeah, they're the regime now.
The McMahon-Helmsley regime is their name. Vince promises Rock about the shortest title reign ever.
What a fucking idiot.
What a blatant lie.
Can anybody remember the shorter title reigns?
Off the top of my head, I know Yokozuna.
Okay.
I know... it was like 2 years ago, Kane had the title for one day, so it's at least a tie for what Rock has already done.
Who else?
Big Show?
Big Show? No.
Do you count when Andre won it and handed it over?
No, because he was never officially champion.
Do you count Chris Jericho winning it for us?
10 seconds and giving it back?
No.
Those are the ones that come to mind.
All right, there was Yokozuna, who lost it to
10
Hulk
minutes.
Hogan. Yeah. There was Bret Hart. Remember, he won it at that Fatal 4-Way and lost the next night on Raw to Sid.
That's right.
Yeah.
There was
a period where a lot of changes happened.
Kane, same thing happened. He lost the next night on Raw.
Yeah.
The best one, however, is fucking Mankind lost it the following day to Triple H, who was in this promo. Vince can't fucking remember any of these. He thinks if he loses tonight, The Rock will have the shortest reign of any WWE champion in history.
I did forget about Mankind. Yeah. There have been a bunch.
Yes.
And most of these, by the way, very recent.
Yeah, one of them was a year earlier.
Yes.
1999.
Regardless.
It started Triple H's reign of terror that we're in the middle of right now.
His very first win, yes. So Vince books Rock versus Shane in a cage match for tonight. As soon as he announces this, both Shane and Hunter are pissed off. Shane doesn't want to fight The Rock. Hunter doesn't want anyone else to fight The Rock. But Vince insists, says Shane only has to escape to win, and Rock accepts this challenge because he's The Rock.
Isn't it funny how history repeats itself? Announced this week, Miz and Shane in a cage at the next pay-per-view.
I believe when you say history repeats itself, what you mean is they have no ideas.
Okay.
They're just recycling old material. Backstage.
Do you think Vince remembers this angle from 2000?
The whole point of this
kidding me?
promo is that Vince can't remember what happened a year ago.
No. Think about all the headshots he's taken in the year 2000. And now it's 19 years later. So Hunter meets with Shane backstage, and it's so great. Hunter's there, and Shane's sitting on the stairwell, and Hunter says, I don't get it. The way they're stacking the odds, you're going to win. You're going to leave with the title tonight. Shane's like, yep, it's awesome.
What an idiot Shane is.
I'm so honored to have been chosen. Mm-hmm. Hunter says, you don't get it. That's mine. Shane says, doesn't matter as long as it's in the family.
What an idiot.
Hunter says it matters to me. Shane is a fucking moron. In storyline, he is an idiot.
And Hunter storms off. Edge and Christian come out for their open challenge.
They debut the 5-second pose.
Debut the 5-second pose.
Love this.
Zero reaction to it.
Well, they debuted
Just
it.
like the first time that Scotty did that worm.
Yes.
But you know what? They kept going with it and eventually got over.
It gets huge over.
Yep.
Now they do something once, it doesn't get over, and they never do it again.
Fair point. Fair point. So out to accept the open challenge come Rikishi and his tag team partner, The Big Show, dressed as Shokishi.
Yeah, you know the night before in the pay-per-view, Show just squashed and beat Kurt Angle in like 2 minutes.
I kind of remember that, yeah.
Kurt Angle.
And Kurt was not on the show.
No.
So it's Big Show with a blonde ponytail wig. They bleached his hair blonde. They actually took the time to do that. And yes, he's in a sumo thong.
Saw a lot of Big Show.
A lot of Big Show. They are introduced at a combined weight of 923 pounds, which I believe, well, just when you say it, that's a lot of human being.
Sure.
They throw Edge and Christian around for a while, and Edge attacks with a bell for the DQ. And then the challengers go for double bonsai drops. They try to flee. DX, who I guess for one segment is a babyface now, or are babyfaces now, they throw Edge and Christian back in. There's a double stink face spot and the large man dance. Hunter bitches to Steph, who tries to explain that Dad just wants to see who the better man is.
Oh,
She's as dumb as her brother.
dumber.
S.A. Rios versus Eddie Guerrero.
Hunter was aghast, by the way, when she said that. So I was watching this Eddie Guerrero-Essa Rios match before it started, and I thought, let's see how good Eddie is. Mm-hmm. And you know what? This match was quick,
Yep.
but it was a million times better than I expected.
Absolutely.
They had a
Totally fine.
didn't they have a great match last week too?
No, Essa Rios looked horrible.
That was at the pay-per-view.
Him and Leo were throwing horrible kicks, and it was embarrassing.
I see.
But Eddie's good, and so he designed a match where there were no kicks thrown.
Eddie is great. Eddie is phenomenal. So they do some lucha in this match. Oh, Lita, by the way, is out there wearing the prom dress that China had worn at the pay-per-view because they had gone to prom and then gone straight to the pay-per-view.
Right.
And we should mention
Early
this.
prom.
It was
Well,
conveniently timed and placed prom. Prom was next to the pay-per-view. Very handy. Regardless, the finish to that match was China's out there in a prom dress, and Lita tears it off,
yes.
leaving China in her bra and panties. Mm-hmm. Only it's China. She's worked to develop her physique for the past 15 years.
Sure.
She has nothing to be ashamed of. And so she's standing there shrugging, and Eddie's like, this is hot. Mm-hmm. It was funny. Regardless, China wants her prom dress back. So they do some lucha here, and then China goes, and she just destroys S.A. Rios. Just goes through him. She goes to, she presses him overhead and drops on the apron. And Jim Ross calls us by saying, she's going deep in the crotch.
Yeah.
Those are exact words. So she throws S.A. back in, and Eddie does he has a spinning gory special. Hooks him over his back, hooks him by the head, spins him around, lets him go, and then he covers him, and he pins him.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's new move night, new finish night on
Maybe
Raw.
he had an ear infection.
He might have.
This could have gone a few more minutes. This was pretty good.
Sure. And then China...
Don't push your luck. This was exactly as long as it needed to be.
China took her prom dress back at the end of it.
Yes.
So I assume this little thing is over.
I believe that the Latino Heat music is the main thing that brought out Eddie's charisma. I think he heard that music and it just opened him up.
It is fantastic.
I mean, he wasn't like this before. He got hurt and he came back and they gave him the new music and now it's on. I think it was the music. I think the music is an underrated part of it. The music should be in the Observer Hall of Fame.
I think China playing the quote-unquote straight.
You can call her the straight man.
Okay.
She's the straight man in DX, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just works. I love this character.
And then on the way back up, as Lita's all naked, Essa Rios literally
Yes.
felt her up the entire way under the
Absolutely
guise
he
of
did.
covering her up. Oh, I must cover up her boobs. I will grab them both with my hands. Oh, I must cover up her vagina. I will grab it.
Wow.
All the way up the ramp. I'm not kidding. Watch it. I'm just reporting what
I
happened.
saw the boob. I didn't see that. Anyway.
So backstage, Earl is getting coffee. As he is drinking, Tori walks up, spills it all over him. He is outraged about having hot coffee poured on him, but he says, I have another shirt in my locker room, and he leaves. And in hindsight, I have no idea what the hell the point of
Yeah, I
this was.
have no clue.
Well, they're
what
fucking
this
with
was.
Earl. She did it on purpose.
Well, I knew that.
Yeah, they're just fucking with the guy.
Okay. Taz versus Chris Benoit. I love Taz.
Yep.
I'm not ashamed to say I love Taz. I have always loved Taz. I will always love Taz. And Taz, when he gets someone he can work with, and do what he can do, a la Chris Benoit, Taz is awesome. He threw a Northern Light suplex in this match, where he grabbed this 250-pound man, threw him
250 pounds? Benoit?
I'd say 190.
He's maybe 210, 215.
He grabbed a large, fully grown man.
Yes, he's definitely fully grown.
Okay. He threw him backwards over his head, planted in this beautiful neck bridge. I just wanted to cry. It was so pretty. So they're having this great fight, and they're chopping and wailing on each other. It's awesome.
You sure this wasn't the Tank Abbott match you're talking about here, Vinny?
Yes.
Okay.
I also love Tank Abbott. But Saturn comes out and distracts Taz, and Benoit hits a fisherman suplex to win.
Saturn comes down the goddamn aisle, and all of a sudden I turn around and Taz has been pinned.
That's what happened.
I'm like, Saturn is nowhere even near the ring.
No.
How the fuck is that a distraction? Then I saw his shirt.
His shirt was colorful.
It was fucking ridiculous. What was he wearing?
It's like one of those hypercolor shirts.
He was wearing that four-headed hydrangea, whatever that fucking thing was that he talked about in WCW.
A plant?
The four-goozled
Oh, it's a Dr. Seuss reference.
crescenda.
Yeah.
The two-handed family credenza or something.
Something like that. Anyway, that's what he was wearing.
Okay. So Saturn comes out and screws Taz, and Benoit wins. So I think, okay, they're going to do Saturn and Taz. That's fine.
No, you know what they're going to do? Nothing.
They're going to do nothing because Hardcore Holly comes out and beats up everybody.
No. They're going to do nothing because when he came out, he gets in the ring and he lays out Benoit, and then he leaps. He literally did a double sledge off the apron to Taz and Saturn outside. And Saturn falls down and Taz falls down, and there's like nothing crazy. There's nothing weird. There's nothing out of the ordinary. And Taz grabs his bicep. He tore his fucking bicep.
That
on
sucks.
Nothing.
Taking that one bump?
You watch it again, and it's like, how in the fuck did he tear his bicep doing that? But he did, because that's professional wrestling. You get hurt doing nothing. So he's out for a while.
That sucks. After my speech about how much I love Taz and don't get to watch him now.
Maybe you could send him a card right now.
Maybe I will.
Get well.
You can say hi to him at StarCast.
19 years ago
look
this
out for
week,
him.
you got hurt.
Sorry.
I hope you feel better.
I hope you got better.
19 years ago in 3 months this week.
Yes. Earl is backstage giving the other refs a pep talk, and Hunter appears to bully him and intimidate him for a while and fuck with him.
What a cock.
Michael Cole interviews Crash. So the gimmick is Crash has been defending the hardcore title now 24/7 for a few months, and he's now very paranoid and always overly on guard about everything.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this. Now, obviously, he's got Chris Candido's haircut. Very short and bleached blonde. He's got Chris Candido's promo cadence, too. He talks exactly the same as Candido. So, as he's paranoid about being attacked, he gets attacked by Steve Blackman. They brawl backstage. They brawl out down to the ring. There's a stick that gets involved. It gets broken in two, and Blackman uses it as Eskrima sticks. There's a cookie sheet involved. They're just wailing on each other with this thing. Crash tries to flee, and they had also, I mentioned the Baltimore Orioles. They're also members of the Baltimore Ravens football team there, one of which is the massive Jonathan Ogden. And so as Crash tries to flee through the crowd, this 6'6", 300+ pound man grabs him in a bear hug and tries to win the hardcore title via submission.
I love this.
And the other Ravens also, they break it up trying to win for themselves. Crash escapes and flees, and that's the end of that.
This was a highlight of the show.
This was a lot of fun.
This
awesome. Hardcore title, this 24/7 thing. Like I don't need to see guys hitting each other in the head with weapons anymore. But having a title that by its own existence lends itself to sneak attacks and random fights in non-ring places.
Yes.
Just as a way to break up the monotony of a weekly wrestling show, they should bring this back. Rock versus Shane in a cage match.
Patterson's a referee.
Briscoe. Did Briscoe also have a ref shirt?
He was the outside the ring referee.
See, I thought I
He had
wrote
an
down.
inside and an outside.
I figured that had something to do with Earl's line about two shirts earlier. But
Now, keep in mind, by the way, that Patterson is the inside the ring referee, but it's escape the cage rules.
Yes.
There's no disqualifications. There's no pinfalls, no submissions.
Yep.
He literally is in there only to screw the Rock.
to screw the Rock.
Sure.
The highlight of this match is Shane keeps trying to escape, and the Rock cuts him off, and Shane tries to escape, and the Rock cuts him off. Finally, Rock goes up to cut him off, and Pat goes after him, and he gives him a low blow, and Rock falls down. So Shane is laying on the top of the cage. He's exhausted. He's just been climbing and being beaten. Pat Patterson climbs the ropes, and he starts shoving Shane's ass. Like he's trying to shove him over the top of the cage. He'll
first.
die, but he'll win.
Right.
That's what's on his mind.
Oh,
it was
sacrifice
so great.
Shane to get this title off the Rock. I like when he hit the nut shot in the low blow, and Ross notes it's a dream come true for Patterson. So as far as the actual match goes, first of all, this is Vince's plan. Vince has upset The Rock has won the world title. So he sets a trap. He has is that mine? Maybe mine. He sets a cunning plan, a trap to screw The Rock and get the title back. And his plan is to lock his own son in a cage with The Rock so The Rock can punch him in the face over and over and over again. This is a bad plan.
Cunning plan.
Step 2, Shane's out there. There's a heel ref in the ring. There's a heel ref outside the ring. There's Hunter and Steph and Vince out there. There's 5 outside bodies to help him win. So how does he get the heat? He reverses an Irish whip and he hits a back elbow. He out-wrestled The Rock.
Well, this is Shane McMahon.
It is Shane McMahon.
In the year 2000, where he took exactly one bump off this cage. Mm-hmm. He was kind of pulled off the top, and it was basically like a superplex. Wasn't much higher than that. And I was just watching and going, you take dumber fucking bumps today.
Yeah, in your 40s.
Your late 40s.
Yeah.
Than you did back then when you were 30. Like, smarten up, dude. What are you doing? And he was super over in this match.
I had written this down before you and Dave talked about it. Shane's not gotten any better.
No, he's fucking
Significantly
terrible.
worse.
He actually is worse now.
Hey, he regressed.
He was fine in this match, honestly.
Well, he's in there with The Rock.
Wasn't good, but he was. There's no point here where I thought Shane's embarrassing himself. So, Rock goes to leave at one point. Briscoe slams the cage door in his head. At this point, Hunter can clearly be heard asking, "I'm going in, right?"
Mm-hmm. Can't even remember your one fucking spot.
So he goes in. One-armed Hunter beats up The Rock. And worse, Earl missed his cue. So one-armed Hunter had to beat up The Rock for like 3 minutes. Earl finally shows up, lays out Briscoe, slams the door on Hunter's bad arm, and The Rock hits a spine buster, and somebody, I'm not even sure who he hit it on. And
Hunter.
He spine busted Hunter, and he climbed out, and he won.
Yep.
Now, it was, the review of the match is a lot like my review of Shane. It wasn't necessarily a good match, but it certainly wasn't a bad match. And most importantly, the crowd was going hog wild for the whole thing.
And they got a happy ending.
When you tease a bullshit finish, and then the babyface wins anyway, great.
Well, it's not just that. It's like this was a formula back when they were at their hottest. You have a babyface that's over, which of course they don't have now. But you have a babyface that's over. You set it up so that there's no way that he can win.
Yeah.
But then he overcomes the odds and he wins and the fans are happy.
Yeah.
That's the formula they used during their hottest period ever. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, well, we'll have a baby face and we'll humiliate him and the show will go off the air with sadness. And then the next week, we'll humiliate him again and the show will go off the air with sadness. And every now and then we'll do a pay-per-view and he'll win. And then we'll screw him and the show will go off. It's just incessant.
Yeah.
This is not a difficult formula.
It shouldn't be.
So there you go. Are you ready?
I am prepared.
Okay.
Mr. Alvarez. The finishes on this show were pin after interference, clean pin, I guess, in a women's tag match, DQ for ref attack, DQ due to bell attack, clean pin after distraction, champion escapes in a hardcore championship match, and then escape in a steel cage match.
I enjoyed that show.
That was a pretty good show. WWF Monday Night Raw, number 363, May 8th of the year 2000.
Show was boring. Am I the only one?
No, this is a boring show.
What the fuck's going on here?
Nitro was a terrible show.
Yeah, but Nitro was at least exciting.
It was not boring.
Like, there's plenty I could talk about.
No, we got a lot to talk about at Nitro.
This was like matches, some stuff happened. Dude, there's a pay-per-view coming up, headlined by The Rock. The Rock's not even on this fucking show.
No, The Rock was absent.
He was on this show for 1 second. He is headlining their next pay-per-view. What the fuck's going on? I feel like I'm watching today's Raw. Except this show made way more sense than today's Raw.
I'll say.
Edge and Christian come out, accompanied by the Acolytes. They say they're there to issue an open challenge. They have hired the Acolytes to protect them from any interference. In the process of this, they insult the Acolytes, talk about how they're drunk all the time. The Acolytes say, "We're drunk right now. We're offering you a refund." Thus, they do not have to protect them, and thus they can beat them up. And so they are the mystery challengers. And they have a match. It's short. Nobody cares. Christian brings the bell into the ring. JBL uses it. It's a DQ. And Bossman and Bull Buchanan attack the APA.
Boring.
It was boring.
Bunch of matches happened and then dudes ran in. That's the story of the show.
So this bell thing is now a gimmick.
A lot of belt shots.
They beat up X-Pac with it the week before and so forth.
And when someone said, hey, there's a bell there we can use, and
Sure.
they're doing overkill. SmackDown highlights. The only thing I have of note here is that Michael Cole said it in these clips, and I thought it was just him being an idiot, but then other people said it throughout the show, and for a while, Rikishi's move, where he sticks his ass in your face, was called the stinky face, which is more juvenile and silly than stink face.
They're both stupid.
Well, they're both stupid. The stinky face is stupider.
No, they're both stupid.
The Dudleys put Gerald Briscoe through a table. They're good guys now. And so there's this whole crew of Rock and Rikishi and Big Show, Jericho and the Dudleys, and they're the united front against the McMahon-Helmsley regime. Speaking of,
Oh my God, Hunter and everybody come out for a promo. There's 80 guys out there. It's like on Nitro where they got all those heels. So they show clips from SmackDown of everybody beating up Earl Hebner in his hometown,
Yes.
and Hunter gives him a pedigree.
Yes.
I was like, of course he did. So then Hunter starts talking about his match with The Rock at Judgment Day. So as I noted earlier, it's Triple H versus The Rock for the title at Judgment Day, and there's no Rock here on the show. Okay, I don't know why, but there's not. So Hunter has to come out, and he has to drone on and on about this fucking match. And he ends up challenging Rock to a goddamn 60-minute Iron Man match.
yes.
They're so mad at each other that they're going to wrestle for 60 minutes.
And to set us all up for this, he cut a promo for 60 minutes.
This fucking promo, like, I'm a big fan of Hunter today, way more than I was back then. I think he'd admit that. Was I the only one that thought, it's fucking talking forever?
No.
And I don't give a shit about what he's saying. And you know what's weird is, like, when I listen to The Miz, I know people hate when I drone on about The Miz, but he's a classic example. Miz has really good delivery. I don't believe a fucking word he says. And as a promo, it sucks. Because when it's over, I do not give a shit about seeing him in any matches. But he has good delivery, okay? That's kind of Hunter. But, like, at least when Hunter says that he wants to kick someone's ass for talking about his wife, I believe him. I believe the character, okay? So he's got that going for him. But this fucking guy can talk passionately about a championship match for 10 minutes, and I don't give a shit about what he said. It's almost a talent. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's bad.
Do you know what he's saying?
I think I do.
It's not like he's not believable. It's not like he's not saying the right things. It's not like he's not got good delivery. But I don't give a shit. Is there anyone like this in history that you can think of? Don't even say it, Rob. I'll fire you. I know what he's thinking. Seriously. Nobody.
I no one's coming to mind off the top of my head.
Nobody.
This was a long, boring promo where he said in probably legit 10 minutes what he could have said in 30 seconds.
Why don't I care? Can anyone answer this for me?
Because we've been watching the same two guys feud now for years.
But why don't I care about his promos? I don't care at all. Like, they're not engaging at all to me. And I can't figure out why.
Maybe it's because he made the same stupid joke about 30 times about how The Rock cannot go 60 minutes.
That's not why.
Again and again and again. We get it.
I find Craig's imitation of Triple H far more entertaining than Triple H.
So something's going wrong.
Yeah. So Chris Jericho comes out. It is time for the comedy. So he apologizes for punching Vince in the face on SmackDown. He has some insults for Shane. He has some insults for Stephanie. And he has an insult for Vince. Now, I don't know how many writers they had in the year 2000.
Less than now.
Less than now, I'm sure. But
Sure.
I would think if you had one professional writer, they could have come up with a more clever insult than, quote, "You have a small penis." That was the insult. There was no
Well,
innuendo.
It's a different kind of comedy, Vinny. It's kind of comedy where
Unfunny?
you expect the man to use like a different word or a
innuendo?
euphemism or something like that.
A suggestion.
You expect him to say, like, Vince, you do what you do to make up for the fact that you might be missing something downstairs.
That would be more clever than what he said.
Well, it was supposed to be clever. It was supposed to be shocking. Like, you're not expecting him to say penis, and then when he does, you're like, what? Which is exactly what Lawler did, by the way. Lawler was caught completely off guard to hear the word penis on television.
I just thought I was watching a promo cut by third graders here.
Well, third graders are writing it.
And to be fair, it got over. So
Yeah, it did,
apparently
because nobody was expecting that funny word to be said on television.
So Jericho's friends all come out. Vince has some line about how he's talking about grapefruits under a tree. Jericho be hanging from his tree. I don't know what that was supposed to mean. He books Jericho versus Angle for tonight. He guarantees Jericho will not leave the arena with the Intercontinental Championship.
Vinny, we do the same thing on this show. Like when we're talking about Scott Steiner, and we'll say, Steiner came out and did a promo, and he talked about how he fucked his hose all night. Which he didn't say,
right.
But us saying it, it's funny because we said what they didn't say, but that's exactly what they were insinuating.
Here's the difference, Brian.
So Jericho did the exact same thing.
It's a delivery thing. When I say, for example, we talked about Nitro, it was months ago now, but Steiner came out because he wanted to fuck Kim.
Yes.
Okay, that's what happened. The way if Jericho was sitting here in this chair recapping an old Nitro or this particular old Raw, in fact, recapping his old line, I've confused myself. Jericho would put way too much emphasis on the curse word.
Well, that's
Just
probably
getting
they
back to
probably
Steiner.
directed him. He probably knew how to deliver this to be funny.
Yeah.
But they were like, they're not going to get it if you don't say penis like really loud and accentuate it. They're too dumb to figure out that you said penis.
That's
unless
fair.
You really, yes.
It may have been what he may have just been following orders, but
Yes.
he would have recapped that Steiner Kimberly angle by saying, Scott Steiner came out on stage. He wanted to fuck Kimberly.
Excuse me?
That's what he.
Don't ever do that again. There's a family show.
No.
Yes. I say these words quietly, Vinny.
Anyway,
You shouted it at the top of your lungs.
I didn't actually. I can be much louder. So Vince books the Dudleys in a tail match against Gerald Briscoe. Briscoe's upset. He books Rikishi versus Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson's upset. He promises he is a genius. And then I just wrote, this took forever.
Yeah. Vince admitted, he didn't admit, Vinny, that he was a genius. He said he was the old man's a little crazy.
Aha!
He said that 19 years ago.
Now he's a lot crazy.
Now he's exceedingly crazy and 19 years older. Maybe he should be running the XFL full time.
Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle had a great match that nobody cared about. Mm-hmm. They were going a million miles an hour. Everything looked great. Jim Ross could not keep up with the action. It's Jim Ross we're talking about here. So here's the finish. Jericho put him in the Boston Crab, and Kurt Angle gave up.
I was
Okay.
caught off guard when he
Yes.
when he gave up in the middle of the ring.
Even when he grabbed his legs to set up the hold, I'm looking down the ramp thinking, here comes Road Dogg or X-Pac or whatever.
Right.
And then no.
I didn't expect that. I expected a reversal.
Or
It's
something.
like the first time they went for a hold in this match, and then Angle just tapped out, and literally that was that. They go to the back. It's over. It's done. It's
done.
That's it.
They had like 3.5 minutes.
It was not very long.
No.
It was great.
That's probably why they were going a million miles an hour.
So Shane is upset by this backstage. He's even more upset when the Big Show comes in to kill him. But Shane is able to calm him down. Says, I want you this pissed off. I don't want you to be in all these wacky Shokishi characters and whatever. To reward you for being such a badass, I'm offering you a title shot against Chris Jericho. And Show considers it, realizes it's a title shot against a weakened opponent. He takes this and he leaves. And then Shane takes a phone call. Eddie Guerrero versus the Godfather.
Joe came off like an idiot.
Especially by the end.
Came off like a big dumb dummy. A big fat dummy. How about that?
Brett's description of Sid was the big stupid dummy.
Big stupid dummy. That's what he came across as. And remember that, by the way.
So Godfather notes that at the pay-per-view, the last one, Lita had torn Chyna's clothes off and Chyna was really hot. Chyna admitted all this was true. So Godfather then offered Chyna a job. She refused the offer.
Offensive.
Not just a job. He said, if you join the hoe train, I will get rid of all of these other hoes. There will no longer be a train. It'll just be him and her.
So it'll just be a lot of work for her then.
Yeah.
She'll be busy all the time.
And she thought about it, but then hit him with her roses,
That's what happened.
which I presume was a no.
It was not a yes. This
And
got
by the way, this match was half over before the rest of these hoes could get out of the ring. I mean, it ain't easy, but it ain't that hard.
What he says, pimping is not easy.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, doing this match, D'Lo Brown runs in, lays out the Godfather. Eddie hits a missile dropkick and wins.
Hey, he won with a drop kick off the top rope.
I would think that it was supposed to be the frog splash, and Godfather got up. He got up after D'Lo was attacked him, and he was not supposed to. And Eddie said, oh well, I'll kick him. The Dudleys versus Gerald Briscoe in a tables match. So the Dudleys come out, and Gerald comes out and then announces, this is a handicap tables match, but here are my partners, TNA.
They swerved him.
Yes, so.
Yeah, no, Trish, he's been squished through a table.
2 weeks now.
Still selling after 2 weeks, so it was very brutal. Mae Young was back the following week, I might add, every time she was put through a table.
Better stock.
I believe Mae Young was tougher than Trish, and that's not an insult to Trish.
Yeah.
So doing this 3-on-2 tables match, it amuses me. I guess it's not a no DQ tables match, but they're doing tags. Okay.
Right.
It's funny. Gerald Briscoe was very hot and very cold in this match. He threw an awesome double arm suplex.
Yes.
Took a great bump over the top rope. But when he had to drop an elbow, he may have never done this before.
He went the wrong way.
Well, I don't know if he dropped a lot of elbows during his
He may
career.
not have.
He was
He-
a technical wrestler.
He may have put on more holds.
Boy, talk about some babyface fire, and he wasn't playing babyface. No.
So Test got through 3D through the table for the biggest pop of the whole show. The Dudleys win. And then DX and the crew attack anyway, and Briscoe puts Bubba through a table with a splash. It was a very good splash, too. Shane gives the Big Show a pep talk backstage. Yeah, the first of the creepy little girls doing the promo for Judgment Day, singing Ring Around the Roses and playing hopscotch as scary music plays.
Ring around the Rosie.
Rosie.
Yeah, get
Okay.
with it.
Oh, you are the father of a young
Yes.
daughter, so I'll
Come on.
take your
Ring
report.
around the roses?
Pocket full of posies. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it is Rosie's.
Not pocket full of hoses.
If it's just a, ring around the rose, that's a short trip.
That is a short trip.
Yeah, the Rosies, that's
There could be thousands of them.
putting in some effort.
Chris Jericho versus The Big Show.
So Big Show's beating his ass, and all of a sudden, footage randomly appears on the screen of Shane saying that the Big Show is a big dumb dummy. He's a big fat dummy. He's a big stupid dummy.
I have him brainwashed. He's wrapped around my finger.
Who put this on the big screen?
I'll never know.
Who is screwing with Shane McMahon?
Is it GTV?
Is it GTV? Who is it? Who's responsible for this? We never got an answer.
No.
So the
Probably
big,
part of the wild card rules.
the Big Show is angry. He chases Shane
I
to the
wrote
back.
furious.
That's also true.
Yes.
More colorful.
He was more furious than he was angry.
Regardless, he chases Shane to the back and gets countered out in this here Intercontinental Championship
See,
match.
earlier when he stormed into Shane's office and grabbed him around the neck, he was angry. But when he heard Shane call him a big dumb idiot, now he's furious.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it. Last note
I'm trying
here
to
is that
spice up this fucking show because it was boring.
we're almost done. Lillian makes the announcement of the countout as the referee is still counting before the bell has rung.
Oops.
Yeah, then she's confused about what she's going to say. The winner of this match via count out,
And at this point, the ref's
and
like,
still the Intercontinental Champion,
7!
Chris Jericho.
And she makes her announcement, and the ref counts 10, and the bell rings.
They should have never smartened her up. This wouldn't have
I
happened.
guess that was what happened here, yeah. She no doubt had a script, had a format, and was just doing her job. Shane runs backstage, gets in a limo, drives away.
Did love when he fled, and they go back to Vince, and Vince is eating popcorn watching this. He
A
says,
giant is trying to murder his son.
Yep. And Stephanie's there, and he goes, "You know, Steph, that's the first time Shane has ever driven himself anywhere in his adult life." Totally nonchalant about it.
Doesn't care.
He's running for his fucking life. But the big stat here is he drove himself.
Well, his favorite daughter was in the room, and now Shane's gone.
And fucking Stephanie says, "But yeah, Daddy, you promised that Chris Jericho was not leaving tonight without the WWF Intercontinental Championship." I was like, fuck you. This is the beginning of this shit. No one talks like that. No, Daddy, you promised that Chris Jericho wasn't leaving with the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Who would fucking say that?
McMahon's.
And he's like, yeah, well, you see how he does tonight in his title defense against Chris Benoit. Now give me a kiss.
Yeah, you didn't do it lecherous enough.
And she kissed him and he goes, yeah. And he did do that.
He did do
Yes,
that.
he did.
Too Cool versus the Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan. Say what you will about Scotty Too Hottie and Grandmaster Sexay, but this had legit the most heat of anything on the entire show. They went extra nuts when Scotty did the worm. So Boss Man hits the Bubba Slam, makes a cover, but Grandmaster Sexay hits the hip-hop drop, the top rope leg drop. He puts Scotty on top. The Too Cool wins. The crowd goes crazy. This was so fun. And then the Acolytes come out to brawl with Boss Man and Bull Buchanan again. Backstage, Malenko and Saturn are bickering about something. Benoit shows up and tries to make peace. Eddie shows up and tries to make peace. Says
Am I seriously the only one that noted that he was completely and totally fucked up in this promo?
Eddie?
Yeah. He looked uncomfortably fucked up. And they're all looking at him, and he's bumbling through his promo. And I was like, we are closing in on the time where they go to Jim Ross and they say, you got to do something about this guy. And they send him to rehab.
Yeah.
He was talking like, Cheech, to be honest.
He's totally become Cheech. He also noted here, I don't know what the other three guys are fighting about. I have no idea what's happening, but he talks to Benoit, and he says, you're as talented as all three of us. Well, he was.
That's pretty fair.
Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn versus the Hardys. As I wrote here, a bunch of shit happens in 2 minutes, and Saturn super kicks Dean, and Jeff hits a senton, and Matt wins.
I have nothing else to add.
So Dean and Perry get in a fight again. Eddie and Chyna try to make peace. They both get punched in the face. They're laid out, and that's the end of that.
This show was just a bunch of shit happening.
Rikishi does squats. Patterson tells Briscoe, I hope Vince has something up his sleeve. And Briscoe says, Mr. McMahon told me not to interfere. We have Rikishi Fatu, his full name this week, versus Pat Patterson. And his surprise tag team partner is DX. So they wrestle for a while as 3-on-1, and then Patterson uses a chair for the DQ.
I cannot believe that Briscoe worked so much earlier, and Patterson barely did a thing during this match. Patterson's better than most of the people on this show.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he did like 2 spots. He took a buckle harder than anybody's taken a buckle in this country in about 15 years. And then that was it. He sat down and got a chair, and they whacked Rikishi, and it was a DQ, and I couldn't believe what I was watching.
That was it, huh?
That was it.
So they held Rikishi down, and Patterson gave him a stink face, complete with his soiled britches. And the announcer said, this is so humiliating for Rikishi.
Yeah.
I thought, that's really humiliating for Patterson.
You know who was humiliating for was me watching this fucking show.
No one came out ahead.
True.
Yeah.
People were complaining about the revival on Monday. Fuck. They didn't have to do this shit.
The revival was worse.
No, it was
Yes.
not.
Yes, it was.
No, absolutely, positively not. When they come out in soiled underwear, get back to me. This was worse.
Oh, don't give him ideas.
Yeah, wait till
you know
next
they're going to now. Chris Jericho versus Chris Benoit. So Hunter makes himself the special enforcer just to be out there. Benoit and Jericho are so good that when they blow spots, it's still better than 90% of wrestlers when everything goes perfect. So eventually, Benoit shoves the ref down. He gets in Hunter's face, but Hunter, of course, is on his side. He takes out the ref and takes his place. He's a totally fair ref for a while.
Well, hold on a second. You're confused. So the whole thing here is that Jericho must lose the title before the end of the show. Mm-hmm. So Hunter is the outside of the ring referee. What happened was Benoit and the referee argued, and Benoit shoved the ref. Mm-hmm. So he could have been disqualified. So Hunter got in the ring, and he was angry, and he's screaming at Chris Benoit,
I see.
Don't get yourself disqualified because you're going to lose this fucking match.
I see.
So then Benoit shoves him, and he's like, well, I got to take out this fucking ref. So Hunter shoves and punches the referee. So now he's not going to disqualify Benoit.
Right.
Okay. So all of that said, Hunter then starts being a fair referee.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So Chris Benoit goes for a cover. Hunter counts 2. Jericho kicks out. He stops counting. Then Jericho goes for a pin on Benoit, and Hunter is fairly counting.
Yes.
You got in the goddamn ring and punched out the referee to make sure this guy wouldn't lose, and now you're counting fair when Jericho has a cover? What in the fuck is going on here? This is when the show fell off a cliff for me. And then,
fortunately, it's the end.
Yeah.
Then they do the spot where Jericho has the walls and Benoit taps, but Stephanie comes down to distract Hunter by giving him googly eyes.
They flirted. Yes.
So they flirted each other, and then Jericho pushes Hunter, so Hunter hits him. Benoit puts him in the crossface. Hunter screams, ring the bell, and they give the belt to Benoit.
Montreal finish.
Okay. This was dumber than anything on Nitro.
No.
In what way was this not? We had a heel ref that was counting fairly. Then we had a Montreal screw job and a title change via fake finish to put the belt on another guy.
At least when it was all said and done, I understood what had happened.
What was worse on Nitro? Off the top of your head.
Let's
the
go.
the,
Let's review
the
it.
tag match, the 4-way tag match.
Okay, that was a worse match. Okay.
It was much.
I don't know
better.
what happened.
That's the problem.
Okay.
I know what happened here.
I'll think about it.
Even if it didn't make sense, I know what happened here.
I'll think about it.
So
I'd explain it to you. You were confused about Hunter and the ref.
I didn't care.
Oh, I see. What a cop-out.
Anyway, so Benoit's the new Intercontinental Champion. He celebrates by disappearing. He's gone as the post-match is all DX beating up Jericho until Jericho's buddies make the save.
Why the fuck didn't The Rock make the save?
He wasn't there.
Dude,
Maybe he was sick.
He's filming
he
Scorpion King
wasn't
2.
sick.
I said maybe he
He
was.
wasn't sick. And even if he was sick, he could be there. He's The Rock.
Go look up Google his schedule. Jeez.
His schedule from 2000? I don't even think he'd signed for the Scorpion King yet. Anyway, are you ready for your song?
Let's get this over with.
I'm in a shitty mood. Here we
You
go.
don't say.
Where's my damn music? Oh, fuck you.
Family show, everybody. It's a family show.
I said it quietly.
The finishes on this show were DQ for ring bell attack, clean submission, pin after interference, clean win in a handicap tables match, count out, clean pin, DQ due to chair attack, and Montreal finish in the main event.
Montreal Screwjob.
WWE Monday Night Raw, number 364, May 15th of the year 2000. It is the go-home show for Judgment Day.
Oh, God.
The Rock arrives at the building.
Yeah, The Rock who wasn't there last week.
Yeah.
Apparently was doing the Mummy Returns.
Yes.
Where they listed him as having a starring role and he had 7 minutes of screen time as a fucking, like, Scorpion. So it wasn't even really him.
Scorpion King, maybe.
Nah, it was a gimmick. It was like he was all CGI.
A lot of CGI.
Yeah. He just happened to have to film on a Monday before Judgment Day. But I'll get to that later.
Told you there was a reason he was gone.
Stupid.
So Shawn Michaels comes out looking exactly like Matt Riddle at first.
Okay.
Long brown hair, baseball cap.
Massively long hair and at the same time receding quickly.
Well,
No flip-flops.
He did not have flip-flops. That is a difference between Shawn Michaels and Matt Riddle. So he reminds us that he is still commissioner because I had forgotten.
Right.
He plugs the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy, where at this point Bryan Danielson was training along with Shooter Schultz and Spanky and others. Also plugs the Texas Wrestling Alliance, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. Yep. And of course his wife and 4-month-old boy. And he said this, it occurred to me that here we are in 2019, that means Shawn's kid is a 19-year-old man.
Yeah, where is this kid?
I'm old.
Where is he?
Oh, probably not in wrestling at all.
That's all I wanted to know. Like, how come he's not in
I think
wrestling?
he rides dirt bikes.
He Hodel HBK.
Yeah, he's got to be doing something in the business at some point.
Named his kid Cameron.
Oh, is that what he did?
Yeah.
What a shocker. All right.
That's not why I named my kid Cameron.
Come on.
So he promptly resigns as commissioner after, not doing anything about being commissioner. No commissioning has been done for the past 6 months. So he
He
resigns.
announces he is no longer commissioner, but he has been named the official spokesperson for the WWF.
Yeah.
Of all the people in the world to name your official spokesman. Shawn Michaels in the year 2000?
You could do worse.
No, you couldn't, actually. Maybe Eddie Guerrero when he's about to go to rehab. But
I was gonna
that's
say,
about as bottom of the barrel as
What
can
you
get.
want is someone reliable and professional who never gives you any headaches.
You realize this guy came back a few times and was promptly immediately sent home?
Yes.
Bad spokesperson
I'm agreeing
for
with
the
you, Brian.
WWF, yes.
Yes. So he shows himself. This is the last time I was on this show, he says, or in this company, and it was on the very first episode of SmackDown last August when he was the special referee for a Rock versus Triple H match, and he screwed The Rock.
And was then sent home.
Right.
Kicked him in the face and was sent home. In those shorts, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe for the first time. So Vince comes out. He's very happy. He's happy to see this.
I don't think it was the first time, by the way.
Nah, probably
It was
not.
definitely 97 he was wearing those
Oh, of
shorts.
course. He got all the DX stuff.
Yes.
He get a lot of use out of those shorts. Vince is very happy to see this archival footage. He says, I did not invite you here. And Shawn says, no, Linda did. And she made me the official spokesperson. And also, he wants
Who
to be...
could vote for Linda after that? I mean,
Well,
dude,
people didn't. So,
I guess it's true.
yeah.
Some did.
Some did. He wants to be the special referee for the Iron Man match between Rock and Hunter after showing he cannot be trusted. Particularly, he cannot be trusted for The Rock.
That's a great point, actually.
Yes. So...
Well, that's why... Well, Vince should be happy, but instead he's
Vince
sad.
should have been happy.
Yeah.
I don't know why Vince was sad.
Because Linda appointed him.
I see. So Vince tries to bully and intimidate Sean. Sean pushes him down, and that's it. Okay.
Sean leaves, looks at himself in the Titantron the entire way back. Some things never change.
Sean gets in his car and drives away. Just then, the DX limo arrives. They think they see Sean in his limo, but they're not sure. And the Big Show runs in. He's looking for Shane. Hunter says he's not here. He'll be here. Just hang out and wait.
I mean this in the nice way possible. I'm a big fan of the Big Show. I think he's a very talented guy. Could he have fucking looked more horrible? He is just at the bottom of the barrel here.
Yes, actually, he could have, and he did later in the show.
Okay.
Yeah. Dudley's versus Head Cheese.
Okay. I boycotted this match.
What?
Dude, what the fuck's going on here?
Because they're back together, you mean?
They came out a few weeks ago and were on opposite sides
Yes.
of the ring.
They were fighting.
Head Cheese had broken up somewhere. We don't know when. We don't know why. We don't know where. There was zero footage of it. They didn't like each other anymore.
Right.
Now I turn to this fucking show and they're back together again. Fuck you. I didn't watch it. I boycotted it.
Okay.
And apparently it was fucking terrible on top of that.
Here's what you missed. One god-awful pro wrestling match. There was some kind of... It was okay. It was merely...
Why are they back together? What were they talking about backstage? Why was Al meditating?
Just like the breakup, they never explained it.
It never explained. Al is no longer writing "Help Me" on his forehead. He no longer carries head with him. He brought attention to all this. He's now being serious, and he's a Steve Blackman clone.
I don't know if it's just because modern day Raw is so bad, but like this is supposed to be the glory years. And I'm looking back at this show, and it sucks.
There's a lot that sucks.
Like there's some good stuff with The Rock, and Rock and Benoit was good, but what the fuck was this? Why are they back together again?
All I can say
Fucking
about
infuriating.
This, it makes no sense, and I don't blame you. I felt the same way. But Al Snow, when he's trying to be funny, is so irritating.
He's painfully unfunny.
So that when he was in here trying to imitate Steve Blackman by having no personality, it was a vast improvement. Boring Al Snow was a huge improvement over irritating Al Snow. Now, the match is merely boring until the finish, and then I don't know what they were trying, but it appeared all four men were on different pages in the wrong spot. Jim Ross cannot hide it. Everyone looks lost in there, he says. And finally, the Dudleys win with 3D. DX lays out the Dudleys. Tori gets her revenge on Bubba, splashing him through a table.
I thought he destroyed Trish. I guess he destroyed Tori
He
too.
destroyed lots of women.
Okay.
It was actually a hell of a splash, by the way, by Tori. And
I did see the end of it. It was a good splash.
as they're berating him as he's lying in the rubble, Road Dogg yells at him, "Woman beater!" He's not wrong.
Wow.
That's what Bubba's been doing for months on this show.
He is a woman beater. That cannot be denied.
After the break,
Bubba's apoplectic.
Bubba's in a trance backstage, and Devon is trying
A
to...
furious trance.
Actually, yes.
Yes.
That's what he was in. Devon is trying to preach him out of it.
Tori will pay at Judgment Day.
Yeah. It's DX versus the Dudleys, if you cannot tell. Stephanie promo. On SmackDown, Rikishi almost gave her the stinky face. She is disgusted by what almost happened with... she actually called it his bottom.
Yeah. He almost put his bottom in her face.
Yes. So she books Rikishi versus Kurt. And Kurt Angle comes out, and the almost hug that Kurt and Stephanie have is the best thing. They both put their arms out and stop and handshake instead.
Yes.
It's awesome. So Kurt says he's not a fan of the stinky face either. Maybe this is how you people in Samoa greet each other, he says. Says it's not a sanctioned wrestling move. It does not belong in this ring. So it's Kurt Angle versus Rikishi. Rikishi's already cackling to himself as he comes out on stage. It goes like 30 seconds, and then Pat Patterson, Edge, and Christian all attack for the DQ. This results in all of them getting killed by Rikishi by himself. He's destroying these men.
He destroys everyone, and then Too Cool runs in.
I thought Too Cool was coming in to save Edge and Christian.
What did you bother for?
Well, it came out for a dance party.
Well, I mean, there's that, but I mean, they should just waited till he killed everybody.
Yeah.
They ran in to help him single-handedly destroy 4 people.
Yes. So that was that. Big Show is backstage waiting for Shane. And they show why specifically Big Show is so upset. And on SmackDown, Shane had booked Show versus the Dudleys in a handicap match, and the Dudleys put him through a table. And then Shane punched him. Godfather versus Crash Holly for the hardcore title. I was distracted by whatever the fans in the second or third row were distracted, but all the fans on the hard camera side had their backs to the ring and were staring at whatever was going on behind them.
Think about that. There was a fight going on and nearly naked women, and they were distracted by something else in the crowd.
Yeah. So D'Lo runs in. He lays out both guys.
Fuck, was there one fucking match on the show where somebody didn't run in?
Probably not.
Jesus.
It turns into a three-way, and in the mess, one of Godfather's hoes runs in and pins Crash. Yes, to win the hardcore title.
To which Lillian Garcia says, and I quote,
Yes.
"The winner of this match and new hardcore champion," there's a long pause, and she says, "one of the Godfather's hoes."
That's correct.
And whoever's phone is close to a mic, please move it.
Mine's back here.
So, yes, I believe it may be. Or,
So it's not near the mic.
well, there's another one right there. How many phones do you have, Wang? 2?
You got a burner?
Huh?
I actually have several phones.
Oh my God, can someone talk? How many phones do you have here, Rob?
Oh, I have 2 here.
Okay.
And I have another couple. That's my job. So.
Okay. It's your job to have a number of phones?
Yes.
What, do you work at AT&T?
No.
Drug dealer?
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
All right, well, put them over there.
Yeah.
Okay. It's part of it. Well, just, they'll still be on you, just,
Yeah.
off you.
So
That's
Crash.
3 phones. No. Oh, no, there's 2. Okay. Hey, I got more about this hoe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
So a hoe pinned Crash and was announced as the champion.
Right.
I was like, I gotta check out Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on there.
She is Cynthia Lynch.
Oh, a specific name.
Yep. She actually, believe it or not, she was not a hoe.
What?
She's just playing one on TV.
She had been under contract for quite a while.
Oh.
Was an indie worker.
Well, yeah.
And yeah,
She was able to get Schoolgirl to not
She
screw
had
it up,
been
so.
a hoe one other time and did another angle with somebody. And then they used her here to win the title and get pinned.
Mm-hmm.
And she went on to work other places after she left WWE. So
Good for her.
it was a gimmick hoe
I had no idea.
in a group of gimmick hoes.
That's sad because I wrote a whole thing about her resume and how she worked at Classy Girls and Hardcore Champion.
Well, there's no sense in wasting all that.
I know.
Yeah. Do you want to share it?
No, it's good.
Cynthia Lynch.
Regardless, Crash immediately schoolgirled her and flashed her thong and pinned her and got his title back.
Not Claire Lynch. Cynthia.
Right.
No, wouldn't that be a twist?
Maybe they're sisters.
Could have been Claire Lynch's daughter.
Maybe we'll get the trios team of Cynthia Lynch, Claire Lynch, and Becky Lynch.
Could be.
Hunter, Steph, and Vince all walk backstage. The Big Show is still just bebopping in this parking garage. He looked like the biggest dork in
Yes.
the world. Literally, actually.
He looked like a father waiting for his daughter to come home. Trust me.
All right. Hunter, Vince, and Steph come out. I was looking for something else to go do for 20 minutes. We reached that stage now.
Vince signed Rock and Benoit in a submission match. Hunter
Yes.
goes, I don't know if Rock knows any submissions, Vince.
Yeah.
Well, he won the title with one, so that might be one right there. Hunter demands Rock come out and answer his challenge, and I was like, what in the fuck are you talking about? What challenge are you talking about? Turns out there's a pay-per-view Sunday, and Rock hasn't even accepted the Iron Man challenge yet.
No. We have about, at this point, about
Jesus
90 minutes of
Christ
TV time
almighty.
to build this, yes.
So he rambles on forever.
I wrote here, Hunter says nothing for 10 minutes.
Rambles about Rock, rambles about Sean, rambles about this, rambles about that. Finally, Rock comes out, says, I accept your challenge. Hour isn't enough. And I was like, no, that's enough. It's too much,
It's plenty.
actually. That was the segment.
It was the only thing of note in any of this is that Hunter warned Sean to call it right, whereas Rock warned Sean to call it down the middle.
This is the most wretched build for a match I've seen in a while, and it only gets worse later.
Chris Jericho versus Bob Holly in a hardcore match. Of all the weeks to debut new blue and pink tights, he's wrestling against Bob Holly, who also wears blue and pink tights every week.
They had a hockey fight for like
They did.
8 minutes. It was awesome.
They had a hardcore match. They had a hockey fight. They hit each other with shit a lot. Jericho goes for the walls. Benoit attacks, looks like a dragon sleeper and puts him out. And Bob finishes him off with a chair shot and wins.
Oh my God. He hit him like he was Balls Mahoney.
Yeah.
Jericho put his hands up and it didn't do a shit's worth of good. Bob swung that chair like a fucking, I don't even know what, and took his head off and then pinned him. Dude, stop that shit.
The Big Show finds a limo. He goes after it, but Shane is not in there. And just when I thought they had made Show the biggest dork in the world, immediately Shane McMahon just goes out to the ring.
He had been there all along.
What a giant goofball the Big Show is.
What a jabroni.
He is a complete buffoon. So Shane notes the fans did in fact call him Pussy, but he says pussy means cat, and you call me that because I'm so agile. I laughed. He books himself versus the Big Show in a no DQ match at Judgment Day. Show finally comes out. Now he's no longer interested in chasing Shane because he knows he's getting him at Judgment Day, so he's all happy. And he's about to go after Shane anyway, but Shane announces a handicap tag match.
Okay, so look, I'm getting ready to just stop all these reviews. I'm so fucking sick of the show. Big Show versus TNA in a handicap match. They've got a fucking match. Big Show's out there like Ric Flair wrestling in his street clothes, except he sucks. They have the shittiest fucking match. Him and Albert can't do a goddamn thing together. Trish is in the ring. She slaps the Big Show. Briscoe is in the ring. He gets choke slammed.
His head bounces about 6 times.
Shane hits the ring and with a fucking chair, and now it's a DQ? Why the fuck wasn't it a DQ when Trish was in the ring? Why the fuck wasn't it a DQ when Briscoe was in the ring? Why the fuck wasn't it a DQ until Shane hit the ring? Fuck this show. And yet the 15th match on this goddamn show where people ran in. How are people watching this? There was nothing better on TV in the year 2000. I find that impossible to believe. There had to be.
You're not going to like this answer, Brian. But
Trish touched him. She slapped him.
That's true.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
No, they don't have an answer.
Nice try.
Yeah, that was going to be it, but never mind. Yeah, Briscoe's head on this choke slam was bouncing all over the place. I think he's still alive. Most notable to me, did you notice how badly and quickly the Big Show got blown up in this match?
Because he's fat.
Oh, he's pacing around backstage.
He's about to be sent to Ohio Valley Fat Camp.
I've seen a lot of fat guys. In fact, I may be one of them with better cardio than the Big Show had in this match.
Yes, he was. They called him Big Lazy.
He did nothing and he's on fumes like 2 minutes in. That's the point where he sits up in his ass and just starts huffing and puffing before he gets to his feet.
And he was a smoker.
Well, that didn't help him.
Oh, yeah.
So Shane hits this chair shot for the DQ. Now the ultimate rib, Big Show has to chase him to the back. And Shane has to pretend he can't outrun him.
Fuck, this was wretched television. This was as bad as anything nowadays.
So Shane beats him through the curtain in the back by like 5 minutes. But somehow when Show finally gets there, Shane's still there. And Shane brings him back, or Show brings Shane out and throws him up and into the Raw sign, which probably did not feel very good.
It's Shane.
TNA attacked the Big Show more, and that's the end of this segment. Eddie Guerrero and China versus Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn.
Eddie and China versus Saturn and Malenko. So, can you figure this match out, everyone?
Yeah.
When Eddie was in there, it was good. Sure. And then when China made a hot tag, it was goddamn horrendous.
Did you hear that? China made the hot tag.
She made
China
the worst hot tag.
Well, it was not very good.
She nearly killed Malenko with a backdrop.
Yes.
She's like, dude, it was like a star map.
She was the biggest person in the ring.
You can't even describe where she was in space. It's like she wasn't even on a flat surface half the time. She was here, she was there, she was up, she was down, never in the right place.
I'll tell you what she was never doing was selling.
God damn.
This was 3 mid-card workers and like Goldberg in his peak. Except not being good. So
I gotta say one thing about this, okay? I'm reading Dave's review before I watch the show, and he writes that China accidentally low-blowed Eddie.
Yeah.
And I thought, what? How in the fuck do you accidentally low-blow somebody? Well, it was actually very clever. They were both fighting in opposite corners, and they were supposed to whip the heels into each other, but there was reversal, and Eddie got whipped towards China, and he ended up right behind her, and she thought that he was the other guy, and she did a mule kick, and she kicked Eddie.
Yep.
That was actually very clever.
Saturn hits a brainbuster and wins.
Yes. And then, no follow-up.
No.
China fucked Eddie, metaphorically.
Okay.
And they just move on.
Yeah, also, I guess the Radicals are just dead now.
Yeah, I guess the Radicals are dead.
Because
Eddie and China are having problems, but no one cares.
I think they said it's Eddie, Saturn, and Dean in a 3-way at the pay-per-view.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they said that at some point. Edge and Christian are backstage talking about their new gear and exploiting stupid kids for their money. They make fun of Michael Cole's stupid hair, talking about being fighting tag champs.
Let's see. Judgment Day 2000.
Yes.
Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn in a triple threat match.
There you go.
Speaking of triple threats, we got Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys versus the ABA.
Just a nothing match with a bunch of moves.
A total mess.
Edge and Christian won.
Nobody involved seemed to understand what the rules of this were. Ross would have thought it'd be one guy from each team in the ring at each time. The Acolytes weren't sure, so they gave up. They were just both in the ring the whole time.
Yes.
Let's see. Matt has Edge pinned with a twist of fate. And I guess, I don't know what happened. They're the only two in the ring. He hits the twist of fate and makes a cover. There's no ref. Seconds pass. The ref returns, and then Matt stops pinning him to yell at the ref. I assume someone was supposed to break this up and was late. I don't know. Christian hits Matt with a kill switch. Edge pins him. This sucked. That was a lot of bad wrestling in the show. Vince gives Benoit a pep talk. Cole interrupts to interview Benoit.
Great time to step in there, Cole.
Man, Vince was fine with it. Benoit says he's the IC champion. He has the best submission hold. What he's going to do at Rock is a preview for what he's going to do to Jericho in their submission match at the pay-per-view. And he repeats the line that Rock has no submission holds. And then we get The Rock versus Chris Benoit in a submission match. One hell of a pro wrestling match.
This is a very good pro wrestling match until the absolute fucking terrible finish. You'll never guess how The Rock was defeated in a submission match. Oh, excuse me. Let me repeat that. The Rock was defeated in a submission match.
Yes.
Yeah. After interference from Vince and Benoit, or Vince and Hunter, whatever, Benoit hooks a crossface, and there's Vince McMahon at ringside to say, ring the damn bell.
Yes.
They did a Montreal screw job.
They did a Montreal fucking finish.
Yeah.
There's going to be lots more of these.
I believe you're right. So Jericho comes out, and Rock and Jericho are brawling with Hunter and Benoit. DX runs out. The Dudleys run out. It's a big, big mess. And it ends with Rock and Hunter alone in the ring, and Rock puts Hunter through a table to end the go.
Well, what you missed, Vinny, is in this mess of a melee, Jericho puts Triple H in the walls of Jericho, and Triple H taps out.
That did happen.
Okay, so to recap, there is a pay-per-view in 6 days.
Yeah.
Judgment Day. Benoit beat The Rock in a submission match. Jericho made Triple H tap out. And the match is Rock versus Triple H for the title.
That's true. Right.
Okay. Furthermore, and this is a spoiler, Triple H beats The Rock on Sunday. Okay. So Rock won the title last month.
Correct.
Because there was a crooked referee who screwed Triple H. Rock proceeded to not be on TV for most of the month. Then he came back to lose a submission match, and then he loses the title at the pay-per-view.
Not a great reign.
This is one of the worst reigns of all time. But you know what? He was The Rock, and he was over.
Yes.
And so for the following 19 years, they've done this bullshit with everybody, and they fucked up one guy after another, trying to book them through stupid shit like this. This is fucking terrible. If you're a young person right now, and you're writing for WWE, or you want to write for WWE, don't watch any WWE to get ideas. It's all horrible. This shit is terrible. In the hottest year of their existence, this is fucking shit.
Yes,
this show sucked.
Watch 80s Crockett.
God damn, why is this so hard? Fuck.
Brian, do you have my music ready?
Fuck, I got your music. God damn it.
The finishes on this show were clean pin, DQ due to run in a minute, 2 pins in a hardcore match, pin after interference in a hardcore match, DQ in a handicap tag match due to chair shot, pin after a guy got nutshotted by his own partner, clean pin, and Cleveland screw job in the main event. Mirror in Cleveland, Rob, if you're confused.
Wonder if Miz was there.
WWF Monday Night Raw number 365, May 22nd, the year of our Lord 2000.
Vinny doesn't say the year of our Lord.
I know,
Craig.
but I do.
I don't want to get controversy here on the show.
Huge controversy.
Yes, we're bringing religion into the show.
I apologize.
Yes.
Vince McMahon struts down to the ring. Last night was Judgment Day pay-per-view. He says, Judgment Day is a day where we are all judged on how we live and whether or not we will
See,
be
look,
rewarded.
religion all over again.
Hey, man, this is Vince. He says...
he can't really believe that, by the way. It's impossible.
Do you think he prays to the Lord above?
I don't know
doubt
what he
it.
does, but
Anyway, he said, we'll all be judged on how we live, whether we are rewarded or whether we are punished. He said DX and company were rewarded last night, and they were all out partying all night. He's going to give the pay-per-view and all the victories, and he puts Triple H over. That was a bad sentence. I apologize. Vince said The Rock had to have help from The Undertaker and essentially cheated, and despite all odds, Triple H was victorious. It had been nice without The Undertaker, he says. He said he is not under contract and he will be arrested if he shows up tonight. Vince goes on about The Rock. He says he will face him tonight. Triple H, I'm sorry. And with DX and Triple H at his side. Vince leaves and he is ambushed in the back by The Rock.
now before we get to that, for those of you that are very confused, and I don't blame you, although if you watched the show, I'd be confused as well because I didn't know what was going on. There was a pay-per-view the night before, and in the main event, it was Rock versus Triple H in an Iron Man match. They went 5-5, and then at the end of the match, the Undertaker interfered for the disqualification,
Right.
costing The Rock the match. The title in this case could change hands via disqualification. So Triple H won the title via DQ. The match actually went 60 minutes and 8 seconds. It was a fuck-up. So they took the clock off the screen when there was about 10 seconds left because they knew the timing was all screwed up. So the controversy is actually that Shawn Michaels called for a disqualification 8 seconds after the 60-minute time limit expired. And so they turned it into a storyline. Did Shawn do this on purpose? Did he not do it on purpose? Did Rock get screwed? What the hell happened? They told us we need to tune in Tuesday to the replay to find out what exactly happened.
And this was, I believe, the debut of Biker Taker. He's no longer the dead man. He's, I don't know if they're
Yes.
calling him that yet. He's the American Badass.
Yes, he's back in a motorcycle.
And that opening segment, did Vince not announce that Rock would be taking on
Vince.
all of DX?
Well,
and
he
Vince
said
and
if he showed up tonight, he
Right.
would be facing Road Dogg, X-Pac, Shane McMahon, and Triple H in a 4-on-1 handicap match.
Okay.
So Rock's goal here was to just take out everybody one by one. Now, Vince goes backstage, and Rock jumps him from behind
That is correct.
and beats the shit out of him.
Right.
It's awesome.
And, you know, if you watch Raw today, I mean, I don't know the state of Vince McMahon's brain, okay? But, like, from watching the show, I don't think it can be
Well,
pristine. And from watching this segment here, I mean, this is a good reason why. Rock hit him in the head with all sorts of shit as hard as possible. He rammed his head into the metal grate. And I think the whole deal was he was going to hold Vince's head, and Vince could ram his own head into the metal as hard as he wanted. And Vince decided he was going to headbutt it as hard as humanly possible. Vince fucked his fucking brain up here in this segment. And then at the end, he gets his ass thrown into a limo. He sticks his head out the window, and he starts screaming at Rock. And so Rock hits him one more time and says, "Get this son of a bitch out of here." And the limo zooms off. He fucking killed Vince McMahon in this segment.
The final shot with the trash can lid with Vince's head out the limo was tremendous.
It was funny, but Jesus God almighty.
it's comedy gold, yes.
So my other point here for all of this is, so The Rock got screwed last night and he lost the title. And in recent years, we have seen guys come out and hold their cell phones too close to the mic like Rob is doing right now so we get feedback. We've had these guys that have come out after they've lost titles and they've laughed it off. And John Cena at one point even said, "Titles come, titles go."
That's right.
Okay. You know who wasn't blowing this off?
The Rock.
The Rock was a fucking psychopath on this show.
Well,
And it actually worked that he was attacking all of the heels from behind. He got screwed last night, and so he was going to screw everybody else. And he jumped Vince from behind, and he jumped the Outlaws from behind. Every now and then he would come out and attack someone face to face, but mostly he was just like a crazy psychopath attacking people from behind. And because of the story, it actually worked.
Well, it's retaliation. It's revenge.
Yes,
you don't
it's
have to be fair
revenge.
with that.
Yes. So I thought this was great.
Other than Vince killing his head.
That was not great.
Trish comes down to the ring with TNA. They do an inset promo. She doesn't like the color of the Hardy Boys' hair, and he's emphasized that they are boys and her men will take care of them tonight. They cut to backstage. Rock is pacing, waiting for DX. TNA versus the Hardy Boys. Simple match. Trish trips up Matt, and Albert clotheslines him to death for the heat. Matt with a double DDT, and then a hot tag to Jeff, who hits a whisper in the wind. All four end up outside. Trish posts Matt. Jeff hits a swanton on Albert in the ring, but Trish distracts, allowing Test to hit a top rope elbow onto Jeff and covers him for the pin.
That's fine. Trish gets better every week. Not much to the match. I did like Jeff hitting the senton and then standing up and then realizing he had to make a cover to get hit.
Right.
That was a match. Simple stuff.
I find a lot of the matches on Raw, I just zone out. Like, they just happen. And I don't know if it's because they've trained us that all this other stuff goes on, but it's like, I find by the time I get to Raw, they have their matches, I'm just like, yeah, that's fine. But I don't.
Well, because there are nothing happening matches.
Yeah,
and they have so many nothing happening matches that you're conditioned to all the matches being nothing happening matches on TV. And then later they do like a nice long Chris Benoit Val Venus match.
Yes.
Which is a fucking great technical match.
Yes.
But nobody gives a shit. And by the end of the match, they were dead. Because these fans, it's like when Russo talked about fans not wanting long matches on TV. It's because you condition them to not want long matches on TV. You can condition the fans to want anything. But a long, good match sticks out on this show, and not always in a good way, unless it's like with two big-time giant superstars.
Rock is again showed backstage, pacing, waiting for DX. Eddie Guerrero versus D'Lo Brown for the European title.
Dude, this match, who's the European champion?
Eddie.
He is?
Yes.
Wow. Anyway, thought they had a very good match.
Yeah.
Went like 2 minutes.
Right.
Nothing happened. Or actually, I shouldn't say nothing happened. A lot happened for 2 minutes. And then D'Lo hit the lowdown. Godfather and the Hose came out. D'Lo's distracted. Eddie hits a Hurricane Rana, gets the pin. I mean, this was a match where they should have given this match 10 minutes.
Yeah, this could have been really good.
They gave it 2 minutes and it was over. And then Godfather destroyed D'Lo, ran him over, hit the pimp drop, danced with the Hose, and that was the segment. I was sad this didn't go longer.
Okay. A limo arrived, and Briscoe, who is actually wearing the hardcore title, if you remember, he won it last week.
I didn't remember that.
He opens the door and he tells DX that Rock is looking for him, and he tells him what happened, and Road Dogg tells Briscoe to relax. He walks on by. Rock ambushes all three of them, hits them with a lead pipe, destroys them, and ends up throwing them in the back of a semi-trailer truck.
Well, he got a hold of the Outlaws. Gerald Briscoe escaped. Yeah. But yes, he killed them, threw them inside this room, the door closed, and presumably they were done for the night, although they were not.
X-Pac took an amazing bump face first into the side of the trailer. It was awesome. Edge and Christian and Kurt Angle, they are in Indiana this evening, and Angle is wearing a Pacers jersey. He starts taunting the fans, saying that the Knicks will win the finals. Apparently that was the basketball game going on, possibly as the show was airing.
Good call.
Christian discusses the Pacers choking in the playoffs, and they have a new pose, the Big Choke, which they dedicated to Bobby Knight.
The women are still screaming their heads off for these guys. Miscast.
We then get the match, Edge and Christian and Kurt Angle versus Too Cool and Rikishi. The fight starts out on the floor, and Rikishi rolls in and takes turns. The heels take turns selling his offense. Too Cool double-teamed Edge with a DDT. Angle makes a save, but Scotty gets the modified Bulldog and goes for the worm. But as he does, he gets to M, and Edge hits him with the belt in the corner, and Kurt Angle rolls him up with a small package for the pin.
That's right. This was all of their usual spots. Amazing heat for cutting off the worm. Angle then wins with a wrestling hold after a dude got hit with a belt. I liked it. A fine little nothing match.
You cut off the worm and you will get heat.
The important thing is Scotty didn't small package him first and then get hit with something else.
That's right. Yeah. He got hit with the belt and then he got pinned. Thank you, Lance. You understand this business.
I'm here for you, Brian.
Yes.
Again, The Rock is shown pacing in the back. Shane McMahon arrives at the building and immediately heads to the ring. Shane taunts The Big Show and claims that he beat him fair and square.
I got to mention, I didn't mention this on Observer Radio last night, but Shane came out for a promo 19 years later because he was bragging about his match where he beat The Miz at the pay-per-view on Sunday. And I can't remember the line he used, but he made some reference to the match and about how horrific it was. And the way he said it,
he knew.
Let me know that he knew that match fucking sucked. So I liked him for that line. He didn't fool himself into thinking that was good.
They end up showing still pictures from the pay-per-view, and Shane obviously had lots of help beating the Big Show. Shane said he dropped a lighting box on him and also hit Big Show with a cinder block in the head.
That's what happened. He reported correctly.
He said he wants to be called the Giant Killer and the King of Sting. Of course, this brings out The Rock. Rock beats up Shane in the ring and through the crowd to the exit and to the street.
Yeah.
As you say, he beat him hither and yon.
He beat the shit out of him is what he did.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
That's true.
Benoit and Val Venus had the match next. This match was great.
It was.
They fucking worked so hard and so fast for like the first 3 minutes of this match. I was like, how in the hell are they... Like, they're just going... I mean, Benoit always did that, but Val Venus was right there with him. And then it kept going, and it absolutely never got bad, but you could just hear, like, the crowd was expecting it to end at any time, and it just kept going, and they got more and more quiet. And finally, at the very end, I mean, Benoit was a machine. Val Venus was not the machine that Benoit was. So by the very end of the match, Val goes up top for the big splash, and Benoit crotches him, and Benoit goes up to just superplex him into orbit, and Val looked like he did not want to take this last bump. And if he did, he didn't want it to be very high. And he did the lowest superplex I've ever seen, and that was a setup for Hardcore Holly to come down. This dude, he brutalized Benoit.
Yeah.
And not just like an unprotected chair shot. It was an unprotected chair shot that he legitimately swung like a baseball bat because he went side to side, and he hit Benoit on the side of the head, and then he killed Val, and then Jericho's music hit, and last week on this show, Hardcore Holly killed Jericho with a chair shot. Now Jericho's got a chair, and so he was like, I'm going to give this fucking guy a receipt. And so he hits Bob as hard as he could in the head. This was brutal. This should have been edited off the network.
I wrote 1 match, 3 concussions.
Easy.
Yeah, and the first chair shot, too, if memory serves, it's like he didn't even hit him with the flat of the seat. He got further up and caught the lip of the back part, too, which
to the side of his head.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, with, again, Nitro's another ball of wax with this, but it's like, with these incredible concussive blow type chair shots in a Benoit match, I'm having a hard time watching this.
Dude, it's brutal. And not just a Benoit match, but I mean, like, there's a lot of guys, I mean, up until like 2008, I mean, guys were dying pretty regularly, and, you know, there are guys in the show like Crash Holly, and, you know, he passed away young. And look at all of the punishment that guy took doing this hardcore thing. Everybody laughs about the hardcore title, the 24/7 title, and he went down a slide and all this and that, and they reminisce. Dude, this guy got the fucking shit kicked out of him. Bradshaw practically killed the guy tonight.
Yes.
And this was happening on a regular basis. It's not just Benoit. Benoit's like the most obvious example, but dude, this era took out a lot of guys.
We then have the Dudley Boys versus Boss Man and Bull Buchanan. Started off pretty slow, Bubba thwarting both men. Ref is trying to get Boss Man out of the ring, and the Dudley Boys hit the What's Up on Bull. It's actually not called that yet, but there you go. Blind tag to Boss Man, who gets a heat on Devon. Bull interferes, and he and Bubba brawl to the floor. Devon reverses an Irish whip, and Bubba slides in from out of nowhere and back into the ring, and they score the 3D on Boss Man for the pin.
Best thing about this 3D is Bubba's on the outside before they set it up. and I think he was out there with Bull, and he throws him into the post or whatever, and it's time to do the 3D. So Devon and the Boss Man start the move, and Devon does the switch, and Boss Man's coming off the ropes, and Bubba goes to hit the ring, but he fucking slips on the ring apron as he runs in. And so somehow Boss Man and Devon both recognize this, and they both slowed down just long enough for Bully to get in there and hit this move. It was awesome. Very
Peripheral
impressive.
vision is your friend.
It is your friend. That was fucking great how they pulled that off.
Am I the only one that thinks Bull Buchanan would have been a much bigger star if he wasn't such a good athlete?
What does that mean?
Well, he seems to try to do big athletic things a lot, and it's like, I think he'd be better if he just worked like Boss Man. He was a big dude. He looked great. I think Vince would have made him somebody a lot more if he wasn't trying to display his athleticism.
I think about a month ago, like in his very first singles match, he went for his finish and screwed it up and ended up landing on his head from the top rope because he slipped. So yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It does seem to me that there's a lot of people in WWE that when they're kind of green, the agents want them to do athletic things as opposed to just having them go in there and work. Like you see with the women all the time, like even that Money in the Bank match. I mean, they had the goofy spot where the women are going to squish Naomi, and so she drops into the splits to avoid these ladders coming at her. And the women always had to do weird things, like stand up and do the splits and fall on somebody and all this other weird stuff, instead of just like working, figuring out how to work.
We now cut
Everybody
to
can see it. I'm wearing my Learn to Work t-shirt.
Excellent. Excellent.
They cut to the back, and now Briscoe is pacing. He's trying to get a message to Triple H. Crash Holly enters the APA agency. He is chastising them for not protecting him, and he wants his money back. He says he will not accept a refund or even a partial refund. He's going to take it out on their rear ends. That's what he said, not me.
Not a smart move.
Then picks up a beer, pours it over Bradshaw's head. Bradshaw, of course, goes after Crash, and Farouk, in one of the lines of the night, "Don't hurt him. He's just a boy."
Well, he hurt him. He beat the shit out of this guy. Brutalized him, killed him with a chair shot, powerbombed him half to death, pinned him. This was a massacre.
I will say this about Bradshaw, though. Like, he plants guys unbelievably hard,
But
he always
safely.
plants them flat.
Yes.
He will drive you through the mat, but he puts you down flat, so it looks way worse than it is. While solid and snug, I wouldn't say he's dangerous when he plants guys.
What about them chair shots?
I don't want to take those.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And as alluded to, Crash Holly versus Bradshaw in a hardcore match was next up as basically a 2-minute squash.
Hunter and Steph arrive, and Jerry Briscoe's telling him what happened. He's practically in tears, trying to spout out every attack that happened on this show. This was awesome.
It was.
This was a great unscripted promo. You could not have memorized this. He had to remember everything that happened, and he spits it out, and he kind of bumbles the way through, and it was just perfect for Jerry Briscoe. And Rock is lurking in the background.
Pat and Jerry, in my opinion, are the most unsung heroes of the Attitude Era.
They are two of them, yes.
Because I think that's the thing. It's like they're the comedy, and sometimes it's subtle verbal comedy, sometimes it's slapstick comedy, but they're the stooges. It doesn't hurt the credibility of others, where nowadays and a lot of times the top stars do the comedy, and it's like Briscoe and Patterson they're the hidden gems of this era.
Well, I should say that obviously people are going to say, well, The Rock did a lot of comedy, and you're right. When it was time for The Rock to do comedy, he did his comedy. But there was zero Rock comedy on the show. There was not one interview where he did all of his comedy. He was an angry, very angry man, and he showed up to kick some ass. And that's what he did on the show. If it were 2019, he would have invariably beat up a bunch of guys, did a comedy promo backstage, then come out to beat some more guys up, and it wouldn't have made any sense. Very much like Jerry Briscoe's explaining to Hunter everything that Rock did. They show Rock lurking in the background, and the announcers go, he heard everything they said. Mm-hmm. I'm like, So he heard them say what he did.
Right.
Okay. They must be in trouble.
Well, they know Rock knows he's a tattletale.
Then they go to Shawn Michaels. This was filmed the night before. And he says, I called it right down the middle. I'm a human being. I did the best I could. I don't know what people expect from me. And then fucking Michael Cole goes, it was 5-5, and this Iron Man match would have been a tie, and Rock would have retained. And I thought, you're saying that to fucking Shawn Michaels, who was in the first famous Iron Man match that went to a tie, and then they did a sudden death overtime. They can't even keep their rules consistent for 2 fucking Iron Man matches. And Shawn says, I called it right down the middle. I'm sick, he says, of hearing people get down on me when I'm asked to do a job.
Yeah.
I laughed at that line. He says, nobody's been here longer than me, and I can't make any of these bastards happy.
We then cut backstage, and the Godfather is in the locker room with his ladies. S.A. Rios is admiring them. Lita takes notice of this, and she's not happy.
Is this the start of the transition to move her from S.A. Rios to the Hardys?
I think
Sure,
so.
shit was at the end of the match.
So I was wondering how that would happen and when it would happen, and it seems like that's where we're going.
Well, it happened here on the show.
Well, she didn't get with the Hardys yet.
Well, no, but I mean, she cost him the match.
She did, actually. Really, your main event, in-ring main event, the Godfather and S.A. Rios versus Dean Malenko and Saturn.
A main event in any building in this country. 13,000 tickets sold for this Raw, and this was the main event.
Godfather, of course, does his spiel, and Ross asks Jerry, have you ever rolled a fatty? Jerry fires back, remember that one time I pushed you?
Oh, terrible.
I popped. Godfather offers Malenko his ladies, claiming they know 1,000 positions.
Well, the way it worked was Malenko and Saturn are standing there, and Godfather offers Malenko any hoe. He says, we can fight, or you can take one of these fine ladies. Mm-hmm. So Malenko's looking at the ladies, and Saturn's like, hello? And so Godfather says, all right, 2 ladies, thinking that one for each.
Sure.
Instead, Malenko grabs 2 and leaves Saturn high and dry.
Smart man.
Saturn's
Dean's
standing
no
there.
fool.
Yeah, Saturn's like, what the fuck? So they ring the bell, and Saturn's in the ring with, I think it was, I don't remember who it was. It was S.A. Rios.
S.A., yeah.
And the announcer's like, I wonder what Godfather's going to do now. We find out he's also going to wrestle. So Dean left this dude high and dry, taking 2 women to the back. So this team's just got to be over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they're together next week, I mean, Saturn's a fucking moron. So then they do the match, and S.A. Rios goes up top, and Lita's upset that he was looking at the hose, and so she walks over, she crotches him, he falls into the ring holding his balls, and Saturn hits a brainbuster and pins him. S.A. Rios, Geek of the Week. Had there been one in the year 2000. Mm-hmm. This has got to be the split lance.
One would hope.
None of these people can be together next week. I will not allow it.
Don't hold your breath, kid.
Damn it.
Triple H is shown walking in the back, looking for The Rock. Rock comes down to the ring. He discusses how both of them gave everything at the pay-per-view, and that Triple H may have left with the belt, but he never beat The Rock. He mentions The Undertaker, and while he appreciates The Undertaker's help, he did not want it. He said it was the wrong time. He said now was Rock's time, and then he addresses DX. He says now for the 4-on-1 attack. He accuses Triple H and his friends of sucking it with each other. He finally calls out Triple H. Triple H comes out to the stage, and he says that he's still the undisputed champion. Rock pauses and tells Triple H to just bring it because, as discussed last week, Hunter droned on and on and on and never said anything of any importance.
The worst.
That has already been said. Triple H finally strolls down to the ring. They square off in the ring. Rock unloads and pummels him until DX hits the ring.
They're all back.
Right. They got out
After
of the
being
truck.
laid out earlier. Vince is back. DX is back. They're all back. And they go to work on this poor Rock.
Rock thwarts them as well. Now Briscoe comes down to the ring with a limping Vince McMahon. Vince slides into the ring. Rock goes to give him the rock bottom, but Vince fell down too fast, I
Oh,
guess.
Jesus God.
It looked really horrible, but Rock is a pro. He picks him up and delivers the rock bottom to Vince.
He's got to be the most unathletic guy I've ever seen. And I worked many times with Vinny.
I legit wonder if he was concussed and he's like just bumbling around.
He fucking may have been. He very likely could have been.
That's horrible for you to
The
laugh.
only flaw in your theory, Lance, is I've seen him take a million moves and he always fucks it up. He fucked up the stunner 50 times in his career. Mm-hmm. I think Linda took a better stunner than he did, if I recall.
Right after he hit the rock bottom, DX swarms him again. The Rock is getting a beat down. Some steel steps are placed into the ring. And all of a sudden, a video starts to play.
Now, first off, they put these goddamn steps in the ring. They're about to kill the fucking Rock.
Yeah.
And a video plays, and The Undertaker's dong hits, and he comes out on his motorcycle. So, like, everyone who was going to kill Rock just stops while this guy strolls out on his motorcycle.
Right.
So he gets off the motorcycle. He starts beating up everybody, including Vince, who falls in the back of his head again. Beating up everybody. And then he leaves.
Yes.
But he leaves The Rock on the steps with Triple H.
Right.
This was not much of a save.
Triple H, of course, then sets up The Rock for the pedigree onto the steps. Rock backdrops him and then tosses him outside. The Rock then gives Triple H a rock bottom through the announcer's table. The Rock poses on the top rope as Triple H lies in a pile of rubble in the middle of the ring as the show fades to black.
You have to mention Rock losing the battle with the cuffs of his shirt.
Oh my God, he could not get this fucking shirt off his
Not
wrist.
get his hands out of the cuffs of his shirt when he took his shirt off. It was hilarious. They cut away because he was losing it.
Yeah, he's trying to get his shirt off, and it's stuck on his wrist because there's a button on it, and he can't pull it over his giant hand. And so he's like yanking, and he's pulling, he's getting pissed off. They cut to the announcers, and then when they cut back to The Rock, it was only The Rock's head. So I don't know if he ever got the shirt off. He may have got up there and done his big pose with his shirt on his hand. So I thought this show was great because there were real-life, legitimate superstars on the show.
Right.
And they were pushed that way. The Rock, Undertaker, Vince, to a lesser extent at this point, Triple H. But you have to have these larger-than-life superstars because the rest of the show can suck. And as long as you have big stars, it's going to be hot. And I watched Raw today, and there are zero. Like, the closest we have to a legit superstar is Brock Lesnar. And he's not even there all the time. He's on every 5-10 shows. So they got a big problem. And the problem is no Rock, Undertaker, or Vince McMahon. And the Vince McMahon they have is not a good Vince McMahon nowadays.
And the other thing with Rock, it's like he beat everybody up throughout the show. Then he was kicking the hell out of Hunter by himself. The other guys come back. He's kicking the hell out of all 5 of them for a while. They get a little bit of heat on him. Taker evens the odd and leaves. And then Rock beats the shit out of him again. It's like he was up, 7 of the 8 times there was interaction
That's
between
right.
them. It's like, that's
right.
how you make a babyface hero.
Yep.
This was Stone Cold Rock Johnson.
Yes.
So there you go. I presume you don't have a finishes report, Craig?
Out of respect to Vinny, and mostly because I forgot.
I figured.
No, I do not.
WWF Retro Raw, Monday Night Raw number 366, May 29th of the year 2000. So we have clips from Judgment Day, Hunter and Vince winning the title from The Rock. And then since then, The Rock and The Undertaker have been destroying them left and right on every show they can. So Taker comes out on his bike. They have edited out the Kid Rock theme song.
They edited Kid Rock off this entire show.
Yeah, that's actually true. He had a concert apparently live.
Yes.
Does not make the network show.
Thank God. I wish he had a concert every week, so this was only an hour and 25
Save
minutes.
10 minutes, yes. They have not edited out the announcers calling him the American Badass 500 times.
By the way, what a giant fuck you to WCW, because they would do these concerts and it would just absolutely tank the rating. So WWE would do concerts and it wouldn't. Just rubbing it in.
So before he can say anything, the McMahon-Helmsley faction interrupts. They are a faction this week and not a regime. So they all talk for a long time, and Rock comes out and talks for a while. Eventually, Vince books Rock versus Taker for tonight. This could have been done in 1 minute. It took 15.
Yeah, they just talked for fucking ever. Vince just talking. Even Rock, like, he was good, but it was everything we've heard him say 1,000 times. Play still went crazy for the guy, but Anyway, yeah, they signed The Rock versus The Undertaker one-on-one tonight, and then didn't give it to you. Another big fuck you. We're going to false advertise, we're going to do all of this bullshit concerts, and you fuckers are still going to watch. And that's what happened.
In a match I am not making up that actually happened on Raw, The Godfather and Dean Malenko and The Cat versus D'Lo Brown and Perry Saturn and Terry.
Now, what
Well,
you missed?
Vinny, you were gone last week.
I wasn't gone last week.
So, in fact, I liked this match. It made sense. Because last week, Saturn and Dean Malenko came out, and The Godfather offered Dean Malenko a hoe.
Right.
And Saturn was all sad that he wasn't offered a hoe. And so The Godfather said, well, I'll give you 2 hoes.
Dean said, okay.
And so Dean took both hoes. He left Saturn high and dry. Saturn was then defeated. And when it was over, I thought, there's no way these 2 men can be friends next week. If they come out friends next week, I'm going to be really pissed
You
off.
said that last week.
So they came out and they were on opposite sides. Great.
I have seen and heard dozens of dumber reasons for wrestlers to break up.
This was a very valid reason.
The one
to
guy
break up.
wanted all the women to himself.
I couldn't. Not only that, he walked out on the guy with 2 women.
That too.
He stole his hoe and abandoned him for a beating.
It's really amazing where the radicals have fallen.
He
That's better than any storyline in WWE in the past 10
he
years.
literally went hose before his bro.
Yep.
That's not the way it goes.
It was for Dean.
I understand.
Yes.
That's not the way it goes, though.
Well, not if you want
That's
to fight.
why they're fighting, Craig. That's the point.
So,
He put hoes before bros.
meanwhile, D'Lo's gimmick is apparently that he is whining about his push. That's what Jim Ross said. So I guess D'Lo was Dolph Ziggler before Dolph Ziggler was Dolph Ziggler. They had a short, inoffensive match, and Saturn pinned Dean with a top rope elbow.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo.
Edge and Christian, who were all over this show,
Yes.
they have instructions for Kevin Kelly. They were interrupted by Joe C. Now, for most of you, I'm assuming most people don't remember Joe C. Joe C was Kid Rock's sidekick. He had some syndrome.
Yeah, some ailment of some kind.
His body stopped growing young. He appeared to be about 12 years old permanently, or younger.
And he talked like it as well.
His voice, yes, he had the physical features of a young boy. He was in his 20s or 30s or something.
He only lived a few more months.
Yeah,
It's sad.
it is very sad. But they walked
Especially
by.
when you see what they did with this guy on the show.
That's true.
They bullied him. They made fun of him. They put him in a garbage can. Yeah.
So they marked out for him at first, Edge and Christian did, and they thought he was Mini-Me from the Austin Powers movies. After break, Edge and Christian is still there, and they are marking out for their own intercostals. Kurt Angle only wants a European gold. He has no time for their shenanigans tonight. As he walks by, Jim Ross says, man, Edge and Christian, they're acting like jerks.
Well,
Strong words.
He wasn't wrong.
that's what was happening.
Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle.
Holy shit, what a great match.
This was so great for a 2 or 3 minute match.
If they would have had this just go for 3 hours on Monday, I'd have been the happiest guy in the world.
Yeah.
They had a great match. Everything they did looked great. It only went like 3 minutes, as you noted, but it was like just an amazing 3 minutes.
A 5-star 3 minute match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Except the end.
Angle accidentally, or maybe not, took out China with a baseball slide. Couldn't tell if he was aiming for her or Eddie.
Maybe the only one in his whole career. Like, she fell down, and I realized that Kurt Angle had done a baseball slide. I was like, do I ever remember seeing him do a baseball slide? I don't know if I ever did. Then the ref took a bump.
Yes, China
They're
hits
fucking up my match.
a nut shot. Eddie hits a diving Rana and gets the win, even though Angle's foot is under the ropes.
Well, it was weird because... So, Kurt goes to the middle rope, and China gives him a low blow because there's no ref. What's going on over there?
Craig is confused that I keep turning away from the mic. I'm turning away from the mic because I have a cough drop in my mouth. I'm trying not to...
Now the whole world knows.
Yeah,
Well,
because you brought it up.
Thanks, Craig. No, you brought it up.
Actually, you did, Craig.
I said nothing.
Yeah, but you're looking weird at me, so I had to explain it.
You looked at him, and then he's looking all over the place like there's a giraffe in the room or something, which actually there
There
is.
is over there.
Now that I think about it. But anyway, point of this is, so she gives the low blow, Eddie falls down, or Kurt falls down, and I figured that Eddie was going to do the frog splash, but then Kurt starts getting to his feet. And so Eddie's on the top rope, and he's looking at the guy, and he yelled something to him. I'm thinking that maybe Kurt wasn't supposed to get up.
Didn't this just happen with Eddie and
This
somebody?
did happen like 3 weeks ago.
I forget who it was, but somebody,
Yeah.
they got up, and so Eddie was like, oh, hell, I guess I had a drop kick.
Yeah, so
won.
so this guy got up, and then I guess Eddie didn't want to do another drop kick, so He threw a Hurricane Rana, and it got fucked up, but like they're so good that even when they fuck up, it looks fine.
Yes.
And then he got the pin. It was great.
Edge and Christian are back. They apologize to Joe C. But to clarify, they want to make sure, are you a midget, a dwarf, a gnome, or an Ewok? And Joe curses them out. This appeared to be heavily edited.
Of course it was. He told them to go fuck yourselves.
Yes.
Well, exact words.
Well, there's that part,
That's
too.
not going to make USA.
No. Not even the Attitude Era. A very weird segment happened. The camera's on Road Dogg, who was just in a hallway rapping to himself.
I think he was doing his own music.
May have been, I'm not sure.
Baby tonight.
As he passes a door, it like opens and slams shut right away. And he stops and he's confused. And then you hear the handle from the other side like it's stuck. And Road Dogg decides, I must rescue this person. Are you okay? What's going on? He opens the door. Who's in here? And then he is yanked inside the door. We hear sounds of great violence. The door opens and Road Dogg is thrown back out.
Yes.
That was weird.
Someone's on the rampage
I guess.
Right.
backstage.
But they're very sneaky about it.
Well, of course they are.
They're outsmarting.
Yes, that's the idea if you do it right.
Edge and Christian suck up to Canada, but they were in Vancouver, so they buried British Columbia. They state that Joe C is an overrated midget rapper, they called him. We got Edge and Christian versus Too Cool for the tag titles. Crowd just loves Too Cool. There were some clunky spots in here. Grandmaster Sexay almost tripped on his face vaulting into the ring for the hot tag.
Yep.
But the crowd just loved him anyway. It didn't matter.
Joe C hits the ring with a hockey stick,
Yes.
and he fucking hit Christian so hard in the balls with this hockey stick. I mean, this guy better have been wearing like 4 cups. He just straight up into the nuts.
Yeah. Hit the 5-hole.
Title change.
Oh, Canada joke.
Thank you.
Title change. New champions. Too cool.
Grandmaster had a belt shot for good measure, just in case. But yes.
Just in case. That's adding insult to injury, as they say.
So Too Cool are the tag champs, and I'm pretty sure this is done just so Too Cool, Rikishi, and Joe C could do the dance party together.
Of course it
Yeah.
was. I mean, they could have danced without that. You know, there's any of a myriad of shitty finishes.
It was time for Too Cool to get the titles anyway. They've been way over on the show.
Yeah, I've been very over.
It's not about who deserves it, Craig. Who are going to be the best tag team champions? Luckily, they're not bad.
Okay, shut
I'll
up.
give them
then.
that.
So Vince and Steph have a segment that is supposed to be live, but has an obvious video rewind in the middle, which was later blamed on satellite problems.
That doesn't happen in real life.
Satellite problems can make you go back in time.
Sure, yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I mean, if you're yes, Vinny, that actually can happen.
All right.
Because if you're watching something on DVR live, you can hit the button and rewind live. You know what I'm saying? So the satellite transmission could have rewound live.
All right.
Yeah. They can't go forward.
That actually is true. That would be bigger news.
That would be much bigger news
Yeah,
if
but-
it went the other way.
You have me there.
Yes.
So they're laughing about this tag title change. They're bragging about their main event. When
To think Vince was watching that match. Come on.
the lights go out, somebody hits Vince. Now, when Road Dogg, a multiple-time Intercontinental Hardcore Tag Team Champion, when he was attacked, he was rendered prone and helpless on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody hits Vince in the dark. He says, "Ow!" And that's about it.
Son of a bitch, he
He's
says.
done. He's irritated, but that is all.
Stephanie's like, "Are you okay, Dad? Daddy, are you okay?"
Stephanie screamed like a Jason...
Son of a bitch!
Jason Voorhees.
I'm
victim.
all right.
Yeah.
It was awful, but it was funny.
Rikishi's doing squats backstage. They did, in fact, re-air the Vince attack and blamed it on the satellite problems. Rikishi versus Shane McMahon in a King of the Ring qualifier.
Cannot believe this match got booked.
So many questions. The biggest one is,
Is this the year that Shane gets killed by Kurt Angle? I believe so.
yes, that was my first question, and the question off of that is, how in the hell, from this point, do we get evil Kurt versus evil Shane at King of the Ring? Does one of them turn between now and then?
They're both heels right now.
Well, exactly.
What are you talking about?
So they just did a heel program at King of the Ring.
I guess we'll find out.
All right. So Hunter's out there. Shane hits a low blow. It's not a DQ. Hunter's in the ring getting beat up. It's not a DQ. Jim Ross is on your side, Brian, pointing out there's a man in the ring. There should be a disqualification.
Well, your stupid rule is he didn't lay his hands on the guy.
His hands on the guy. Regardless, Shane did hit Rikishi with a chair, so that is a DQ, and so
Yes.
Rikishi advances.
Yes. I hated this.
With clearly
Yeah.
more to come.
Oh, I'll get into that later. Let's recap what happened. A guy got in the ring, but he never touched one of the competitors, and so it was not a DQ until there was a chair shot. Got that?
Right.
Okay. Just getting in the ring is okay.
That's what we've learned. That's
Yes.
the precedent has been set.
Yes, exactly.
Rikishi was pedigreed after the match, by the way.
Steph buries TNA and Val Venus. They had failed to take out Chris Jericho on Heat or SmackDown or somewhere. So she books them against the Hardys and Jericho tonight. It says it's their last opportunity to redeem themselves. She reads them the Riot Act, chews them out, storms out, and after the door closes, they're all standing there shamed, and Tess just says, bitch. Okay.
It was funny.
It's a callback. Mm-hmm. It's continuity. She ruined his life before. He's still
Yes.
bitter about it.
Yeah.
This is low on the continuity scale, by the way.
It's something. They acknowledge it's something that happened more than a month ago.
It is something. And man, couldn't say it to her face.
No, even better.
He should have tweeted it.
That would have been also impressive. Maybe he's got that
Time machine.
that's time traveling satellite. Jericho and the Hardys versus TNA and Val Venus was fun while it lasted. Jeff goes with a senton.
Which means everybody about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Trish hits him with a boot. Like as in she took off her boot off and hit him with it. Mm-hmm. Albert hits a tree slam and Tess pins Matt.
Yep. You got it.
Michael Cole interviews The Rock. This started off awesome. Cole's question was, seriously, how do you feel about the Road Dogg and Vince McMahon being attacked backstage? And The Rock looks at him and says, yeah, The Rock really hates when that happens.
Yeah.
Totally unconcerned.
He so sincerely answered the question, however.
Yes.
He didn't bury Michael Cole.
No.
He just gave his thoughts. I don't like it when that happens.
And unfortunately, he could not crank it back into gear. And this is the most boring Rock promo probably of the year 2000. He had nothing to say. Well, that's not quite true. He is not mad about The Undertaker costing him the title at Judgment Day, but he does want his title back. He's not going to whine about what happened about getting screwed, but he's going to make clear he wants the belt back. The Snickers Slam of the Week is Hardcore Holly pinning Val Venus with a leg drop in a three-way that also involved Chris Jericho. That leads us to Chris Benoit defending the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, you miss these guys absolutely killing each other with chair shots last week. How all three of them don't have concussions, I have no idea.
Well, they do have concussions.
I'm sure they do.
They just
Well,
kept
there you go.
wrestling.
Yeah.
So this match went like 4 minutes, and it was just a fucking battle.
Wasn't
for
it
the
awesome?
ages. God damn, they beat the shit out of each other. You know, it was like me versus Logan Stunt. Just a smaller version of it. They beat the shit out of each other for 4 minutes, and I got to point to all this. Before the match, they talked for 3 minutes. Bob Holly and Chris Benoit.
They were bad.
Okay, can you just give these fucking guys 7 minutes? Jesus Christ. It wasn't horrible, but like they're not good promos.
They were not good.
So they talk forever, and then they actually have about 4 minutes to have a match. And, the finish is shitty. Jericho hits the ring, and Jericho punched Bob Holly in the face, which was not a DQ. But then he hit him with a chair, which was a DQ. I hate this
I
shit.
don't have an answer.
really
for you.
need to have a
Then
spreadsheet.
Benoit got the chair. He hit Holly. It was a 2-on-1 advantage, baby faces, but they were in Canada, so the fans loved it. Anyway, to cut to the chase, the next match, which we'll get to here in a moment, is Bull Buchanan versus Steve Blackman. Let me repeat that. On Raw, in the year 2000, on live television, they promoted Bull Buchanan versus Steve Blackman.
Of a match fully devoid of any charisma.
Craig, please.
Sorry.
I don't know how long this went, but it went like 3 minutes and 48 seconds. So they almost gave it the exact amount of time as Benoit versus Bob Holly.
I don't know how much time this went, but he gets the time in the
They
second.
gave it more time than Jericho and the Hardys versus TNA and Val Venus.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they gave more time than Edge and Christian versus Too Cool.
Yes.
I think they gave them more time versus Angle versus Eddie Guerrero.
For sure.
And then there was this fucking Godfather Dean Malenko cat thing, which I'm sure they gave him more time then. But what the fuck? Who the fuck's idea was that?
You know what's even more amazing?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Tell him, Vinny. Tell
Even
him.
more amazing than any of that, beyond Bull Buchanan and Steve Blackman getting that much time,
Tell him, Vinny.
that's the one match in the show that did have a clean finish.
Yes.
And
if there was
it's
one match
not-
that needed to be saved with some smoke and mirrors bullshit.
No, they fucking wrestled, and then one guy won with a fucking scissors kick clean in the middle.
And the cherry on top, it was a King of the Ring qualifying match.
Fuck off. This was shit and a half.
So before then, we'll go back in time now with our satellite. Kevin Kelly interviews The Undertaker, who is still trying to find his way as the American Badass. A lot of in this promo. He likes The Rock, but they cannot both be champion, so they have to fight, and the winner, presumably, will get a title shot down the line. The Road Dogg and Vince and all their pals are in a room somewhere, recuperating. They all talked and yammered for a while, and established nothing, and it took forever. Right?
Yes. Well, Vince has a plan,
Oh.
but we don't know what it is till later. But yes, that's what happened.
We have the Steve Blackman, Bull Buchanan bullshit. The only thing of note here that we didn't talk about already, after the match, the big boss man takes his nightstick and goes to attack Blackman. Blackman procures the stick, and he is much more talented with it.
Well, no shit, he's a martial arts master.
Right.
Of course he procured
Boss man is
the
a
stick.
fat guy pretending to be a cop.
Yes, that was good.
Pat Patterson has gotten coffee, and then he is also attacked.
Yes.
Edge and Christian kidnap Joe C. They put him in a trash can. There is an unapologetic edit. They didn't try to make it look like it was not an edit. And they hit the trash can with a chair. They throw the trash can into a wall. The end.
And as they leave, Edge says, "Can't wait for the new album."
Yes.
I thought that was funny.
Undertaker versus Rock. Vince comes out, asks which one of them has been attacking his man all night long. They both deny it. Vince makes a lumberjack match, sends it all the bad guys in the roster. Rock and Taker kill them all for a while, but eventually they get swarmed. There's a beating that goes on forever. Kane makes the save.
How many fucking Kane returns have we seen in like 1999, 2000? And we never know where he was,
Or what happens.
why he was gone.
Yeah.
He just returns all the time.
He just takes a month off here and there.
Political office, I'm sure.
He may have been, actually. Got some reading to do. He had some tremendous choke slams in this comeback, I'll say that. X-Pac goes high in the air with one arm. Hunter goes high in the air with one arm. And the show ends. Hunter is prone on the mat. Kane is posing with a title belt. Taker and Rock are staring at him in suspicion, I guess? Distrust? And the show goes off the air. So there you go. Everyone wants Hunter's title.
Yeah.
Show was okay.
That's the way it should be.
Had some good stuff, had some bad stuff.
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so... you know what? I took one week off. I totally forgot how to do this, and I closed my notes. I'm ready, Brian. I actually was not ready. The finishes on this show were clean pin in a 6-person intergender match, pin after ref bump and interference and with a dude's foot under the ropes, pin after interference with a weapon, DQ due to chair attack, pin after interference, DQ due to interference, clean pin in a boring-ass match, and no finish in the lumberjack main event.
No finish in a lumberjack main event. That's takes some work.